Oh, there's people there.
Okay, we are live. Hey, everybody. How's everybody going? How's everybody doing today?
Good.
So today, so we are joined by Greg Christopher, aka Chubby Funster, and we're going to be talking about all of his wonderful works and his design process and his YouTube channel and all of that good stuff. First, as usual, I am Roger. To my right is Jason, and below me is Stan Ducato, Troll Den Painting. And if Greg, I know you've got a lot of subscribers, but hey, if there's anybody that's on my channel that isn't subscribed to Greg's channel, please jump on. I think you'll love his content. He's got some awesome videos out there. Especially if you like the long form kind of deep dive stuff.
Thank you.
So we want to get to Greg. I know that's a big thing and everybody's going to have questions and stuff for him. First, I just want to just go around and just talk about what gaming and stuff that we've done in the last week or so. I really don't have much that I've done in the last week. We just had our campaign on Sunday with Jason. He's in my home game, and a few of the other guys, and we're playing low levels this week.
Level one, brand new.
The high level guys are like 8, 9, something like that.
Yeah,
the higher level guys, and so we did first level, brand new first level guys doing some wilderness exploration and stuff. It was really a good time. And I'm prepping to run my my superhero game short campaign. It's going to be 4 or 5 sessions. That's what I got there. Yeah, and you got a super chat there.
Yeah, thank you, my Air Trumpet. Air Trumpet is in Australia. Big fan, long relationship, but going back on when I've been on Eric's show, Tin Car's show for a long time. Great guy. Thank you, buddy.
Cool.
Yeah. So Jason, what else have you been up to in gaming this week?
Just your campaign, really. Spending money on things I don't need to buy and being happy that I'm doing it. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah. Greg, what kind of gaming have you done? You've done your online.
I've played 2 sessions in the past week. One, I GM'd them both. I didn't play, I guess, technically. One was Shadowrim. That was a live play, I guess, a week and a day ago. This week, Mike, one of our players, is in Scotland on vacation, so we decided to just pass for a week. But they wanted to play a few sessions in Shadowrim, which is my Skyrim adaptation into Shadow Dark. Sorry, my son was just playing Long Dark on our Xbox. Dark is very common in game names, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, it kind of tries to recreate that feel of being in Skyrim, and you can see on the live play, like, they are collecting ingredients and like testing to see how they work. And I'm hoping that within the next few sessions they'll have enough stuff they can start actually brewing potions. One of the criticisms, there haven't been a lot of criticisms of Shadowrun, but one of the consistent things is people say that, like, they feel like just rolling off the star sign isn't as strong as a default Shadow Dark character. And I'm like, yeah, but a default Shadow Dark character can't do alchemy, and they can't do enchanting, and they can't do all these things that are built into the core. So
yeah,
I think it's really good to see it be created. Bacon's in the chat. He's playing in there with us. Death Angel Shadow, and then Erudite DM Mike playing in there. And my friend Luke is also my Saturday night game. He's on that game as well. And then on Saturday night, we played Gods of the Forbidden North, and they almost got killed by a wild card guy who, as written in the book, he's just a halfling who's looking to hire people to go on a quest up to the northern parts of the tundra. Mm-hmm. And I had to have Rob Alderman, who wrote the book, occasionally plays with us. So I have to keep things really different so he's not figuring everything out automatically. And
sure.
So turn this guy into like a total wild card who just does all kinds of crazy stuff. And he's now pursuing them and stealing from them and all kinds of things. And he tried to lock him into a barrow mound and kill him last Saturday. I made a post on my YouTube channel about it. So it's been good. We're in like a golden age of role-playing games. I couldn't ask for more. So
yeah,
excellent.
This is the highlight of my Sunday session right here. Ran away from a single hill giant. We had four first level guys, and they were debating.
Not a bad plan, really.
No, and we didn't. It's not like we were attacked by the hill giant. My ranger saw the hill giant and said we should go the other way, and that's what we did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
What was the encounter distance on that?
At least 150 feet. What happened was my ranger was skying ahead, and I saw a deer, and I drew my bow back to shoot dinner, and a huge boulder came down and smashed the deer, and I said, "Oh my God!" So of course I hid and crept back, and then I asked the DM, "Okay, so the giant, I can see him," and he said, "Yeah." And I said, "Okay, how far away did he throw that boulder?" He said, "Well, it's at least 150 feet," and I'm looking at my longbow, going, "Well, out of my range." So I crept back and said, "There's a giant over there. We need to go the other way." And Ken is playing a paladin, and he was like, "Well, why wouldn't we go attack the giant?" And I was like, "It's a giant, and he throws big rocks that single shot deer. I know. Maybe we'll come back later and find him." And he was like, "Oh, fine." We also avoided some ogres. Same situation. We're still alive. So as far as I'm concerned, we made the right decision.
That's right. And people make comments in my YouTube videos like, "You just randomly killed this dude, but you guys managed to not get killed by using your brain."
That's right.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Later on in the evening, we saw 8 or so orcs, and my guy, his backstory, he has a hatred for orcs, so he was all like bloodthirsty on killing the orcs, and then the paladin was like, "Well, there's 8 of them," and I was like, "I think we can take them." And he said, "Well, you didn't want to attack the one hill giant," and I was like, "The orcs cannot one-shot me. I know what they're using." However, to be fair, they did one-shot the paladin. It was hilarious.
Yeah.
But he survived it.
Only brought him to 0. Only unconscious.
Yes, with one shot. And I was like, "Ooh, so, I'm going to have a hard time explaining that one to him."
Yeah.
But we survived. We killed them all. It was
the only character with healing got taken out. But,
Yes.
Whoops.
Yeah. And it doesn't help. I wanted to text Stan, but I don't. I try not to pick up my phone during the game. It was another night where I could not roll over.
Oh
5.
God!
And then finally, once we started fighting the orcs, finally my dice warmed up and I started hitting the orcs. But I couldn't track worth of crap on Sunday. Boy, that was irritating.
I have a player in my game who can't roll a d6. We use d6 init, and his initiative is always 1 or 2. It's amazing. Like
it's so irritating.
It's like his d20 rolls are totally fine, but as soon as it turns into that 6, it's like, how about I go last every single time? Yeah, it's brutal.
Yeah.
I can't. I have as a GM, I have the opposite problem with D6s, and I know that it's not the dice because they're like red clear dice. I've bought 100 pack of them, and I use that when I need a handful, so they're always different. And man, I roll those for damage, and I get 5s and 6s all day on them.
Yeah.
Against players. Yeah, and it's just crazy. It's just what happens,
Yeah.
But
But I'm playing a Ranger.
Go
Sorry,
ahead.
go ahead. I'm so happy to be playing a Ranger. It's always my preferred class. I told Roger the other day we were getting dinner at one of the local delis, and I was like, man, I'm telling you, the second I retired Yohai, my cleric, I was like, the weight of the world left my shoulders. I'm having fun playing again because I don't have to worry about keeping the rest of the party alive. Love it.
Yeah. Edgelord is still wants to play Skyrim at CNY.
Heck yeah, man.
So
absolutely.
Jason's got the Skyrim board game, and it takes a little bit to set up and play it. We played it a couple times.
Yeah.
And he's going to bring it to CNY. We'll try and play it maybe Thursday night or something.
Yeah, I'll set it up beforehand and throw a sheet on it so we can just start playing. Absolutely.
So, Stan, what have you been up to this week?
I got a couple games in. My Thursday night group, we were playing DCC, set in Lankmar. So we finished up the adventure we were on, Mass of Lankmar. That was really good. Somehow we all survived because our dice rolls were freaking atrocious. And our wizard character, which isn't me, went down like 3 times in the whole session, like the entire session. We kept saving them, and it's just, I don't know.
So, Stan, are you playing in this one, or are you running it?
Yeah, no, I'm playing. I play
Nice.
a thief,
Nice.
and my friend Chris, who's sometimes in the comments, he's running it. Real good game master.
Excellent.
What happened with that was I was cleaning house and I had extra Lankmar novels and I gave them to him, and he had never read them, but he likes to read. So he read them and he was like, "Oh, this is really cool. I like this."
Yeah.
And then he was at the game store and he was like, he saw the DCC box set and he's like, "Well, that's got to be the same thing." Of course. And then he bought it and here we are. So
Nice.
yeah, it was really good though. It was fun. We're going to do another adventure, I think. Excuse me. I think he said it was a shorter one, but we only really played, that was only took us like 3 sessions really, because we did do a funnel, which DCC Lankmar doesn't really do, but we wanted to do it to have the experience. And then it only really took 3 sessions to sort that out. And so we're going to do another one. I don't know how long it'll take, but it was a lot of fun. And then on Saturday, I play in a monthly Dragonbane game that's run by my friend Brian, who are using the Mega Dungeon Ave Nox, which is a system neutral Mega Dungeon. So we played that, reached the 3rd level of the dungeon, and dropped right into the middle of a huge friggin' shit show of a cult. And he had us roll randomly. We were the ones that determined what were there with our dice rolls, and we made the worst possible rolls we could have, because that place was chock-a-block full of people, and it's the biggest battle I've ever been in Dragonbane. I've played a lot of Dragonbane. By sheer number of combatants, like it was just like 20 plus, and they just kept coming.
Wow.
And yeah, we somehow all survived that, although there was touch and go there for a bit. And but yeah, that was what that was my gaming for the week. It was a good week.
Nice. I should do that. I should have the players roll on the random encounter tables. Let them do it, and then
I have to do it every time because
Yeah.
it cleans my soul. So it's not.
Yeah.
I didn't roll that.
Yeah.
Double zero. That was you.
Yeah. We started off with 4 cultists praying at an altar, and then there was an amphitheater that was full of them watching a play. They came out to join the festivities. And then one of them, when we started to turn that tide a little bit, ran off, and he came back with more. And then these other guys that were even tougher. It was, if we didn't have our we have henchmen, which is helpful. So it was, give us some extra bodies, but it was still, that was a pretty tough fight. It was actually, I was talking about it today. I was working at the game store when I was talking to my friend, and it was interesting because, like, typically in Dragonbane, the combats are really fast, and this was longer because we weren't fighting a monster; we were fighting people.
Several people.
They're you're making rolls for everything. Where in the monster, you just roll for what attack they hit you with, and
that's it.
you don't have to roll for attacks or anything like that. You just roll the type of attack they do. So it was a longer combat too, but it's fun.
Cool. What we didn't Edgelord, we didn't get the Shadowrim yet. I'm holding back on the Skyrim talk as far as I can, because these guys are going to want to talk for a couple hours on that. So I want to make sure I can ask Greg all the questions that I want to that aren't Skyrim related before they go crazy on that. But no, it's okay. It'll come up. I'm sure it'll weave its way in.
It's my favorite baby out of all of them so far.
No, and I like the game. I don't want to sound like I'm bad mouthing. I'm just not as invested in the Skyrim world. Shadowrim, though, I think is fantastic. I really do. I kind of want to run it. The only reason that I won't run it or feel that I shouldn't run it is because Jason will definitely be in the game, and I think he'll critique every bit of it.
I won't, dude. I won't.
I know.
Why can't he run it? Well, you just let him run it.
Let him run it, yeah. Because
then I won't get to play.
He wants to play it, yeah.
I want to play.
What have you guys bought anything or got anything cool in the mail showing up in the last couple weeks or so? What do you I know Jason wants to talk about is
Stan and I were talking about Skyrim for like half an hour before the show started last week, and he was talking about, because it was Black Friday, so he was like, yeah, you got to check this and this, and so I went to Bethesda website. A statue that I've been eyeballing for a long time went on sale like 1/3 the cost, so I got that. It should be here tomorrow, I think, so I will show it off next week as soon as I get it. And I got this.
Bella?
No, it's the diorama of Molag Bal and the 3 adventurers around him.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I gotta check that out. Hey,
so I got this.
Wow.
Oh, look at that.
Oh yeah, that's the book, right?
Yeah. So pop this thing open. It's 3 volumes. You know, when you're playing Skyrim and you're walking around and you find the random books laying around? Every single book in the game is in this.
Wow.
Yeah. Every single one. And so you can find some art here for you guys.
Oh, that's really nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
The art's great. Man, I was so excited when I saw this. So I got that. Yeah.
That's cool.
Yes. Yeah, so that's my nerd stuff going on. But I'm looking forward to getting that statue, and I am very.
I gotta check that out. I haven't seen that.
Is the statue? It's all painted and everything.
Oh yeah,
painted,
yeah. You know, it's similar to the stuff that's back there. The statue on the far right, over towards the corner, that's one of the gods that came out for the Miramor expansion on ESO. I just forgot her name. It starts with an I. That's from Bethesda. The Molag Bal statue in the center is from the collector's edition. I've been playing ESO since beta, so that's from the collector's edition ESO. And then that's the female dragonborn. I think I may have gotten that from ThinkGeek. And the dragon is from the collector's edition of Skyrim that I got way long time ago. Yeah. And like I said last week, I would have more Skyrim stuff if they made more Skyrim stuff. They don't make a whole lot.
There was this, I think she's still around. There was this woman that I followed first on Instagram and then on Etsy, and she made replicas of the daggers.
Yeah.
And I wanted the whole collection. Like, they were just awesome. Like, I think she was from France or somewhere. You know, but she did great work. She actually made a dragon sword. She only made one because it was a lot of work, but it was they were pretty awesome.
I see stuff like that, and I'm always interested in it. I really like the statues. Like, if we ever talk about a Fallout RPG, I will surround myself with all my Fallout stuff. I'm a bigger Fallout fan than I am Skyrim, so that tells you how big of a Fallout fan I am.
It's a close one for me.
But I see stuff like that. Like you specifically mentioned Etsy. It's such a crapshoot for me. You know, I'm like, okay, this looks good. I'm going to spend $100 on this thing, and you get it, and it's like, oh, what did I buy? You know, and so if it's on the Bethesda official website, then I'm like, okay, this is good. I'm going to get it. I've never been disappointed by anything I bought from them. So that's what I'm just going to stick with.
That's cool. Yeah.
Cool. Greg, you pick up anything recently?
In the interest of getting things done, I have not been buying a lot of new things lately.
Yeah.
There's, a few little. I like little video game that is like a $5 or $10 indie game that I can play for a little bit and then I can put away. That's the thing.
Yeah.
If I'm like I'm going to start a new Fallout 4 campaign, that's committing to another 120 hours.
Yep.
Of whatever.
Yes.
It is.
And people
Yep.
were like, "Well, you could buy this, equally large game that you don't have." I'm like, "No, I can't do that either because then I will not get these books written. I won't get these videos made. I won't get this stuff done."
Yeah.
Yep.
So
And we want you to keep writing books.
Making
So.
stuff. Yeah.
my most recent gaming purchase was a $4 expansion to a little Steam game called Drop Duchy, which is fucking awesome. It is like Tetris, but the pieces are pieces of land that you build like a little duchy out of, and you
Okay.
get points based on like how the pieces and the buildings fit together. Like, oh, it's so good. And I can play it
Cool.
for 30 minutes and then I can say,
Right.
and now we have other things to do. And then I walk away.
Right.
Yeah.
That was and then that's kind of my problem with like the video game stuff now. Like I tried to get into Elden Ring and I didn't like the Souls based like aspect to it. But man, like you go in and you're like, okay, I'm gonna do this one quest. And it's like, okay, well now on the way to like do this thing, there's like 8 more things that you have to do and all this
4
other stuff.
hours later.
Yeah. Before you know it, it's like, the sun set and came back up again. And, so I try and like avoid like the large, video games and things like that, for those reasons. Ken is going to run, locally, he's going to run a Fallout game with Ashes Without Number.
Mhm.
So planning on doing that sometime soon.
Well,
I hope anyway. I don't know.
I was pulling this up. I just found it. Let me screen share this for Jason.
Yeah.
So this is somebody used an exporter to pull everything out of Fallout 4 from a vertical angle in the game assets and created this. And then I modified it heavily with Photoshop so that it wasn't the same colors. It wasn't the same anything, so that it would minimize the chance of Bethesda being upset about it. But I never developed anything to work with it. But you could run.
That's the map, though. That's Boston.
Yeah. And I made a frame and a lot of the classes for doing like a traveler type character creation for Fallout characters, where they had like a certain amount of time they'd already been in the wasteland. Like the longer that they'd been out there was a bigger risk of having bad things happen to them, just like in Traveler.
Yeah. And
then you would end up with a competent person rather than a level 1 person who doesn't know shit about So the idea was great, but it just, like many things, I have a whole graveyard folder of ideas that were never developed. But I would love to be able to do something like that if I had the focus and the time.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. Yeah, that'd be awesome. That's neat. So you got a map already. How?
Yeah, I always start with maps and layout, because I have to imagine what it's going to be like.
Yeah,
and then fill it in rather than. I don't know how people do it, where they just make an endless Word document of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pages of words with no visual component to it. I could never do that.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Stan, what about you? You pick up anything new?
Yeah, I had a pretty good haul this with Black Friday and stuff. I got let's see what I get. I got a couple of these from Free League. I got the
some Barham stuff.
I did too. I totally forgot about that.
Oh boy,
Barham stuff is on sale. So the only time I buy it, some Barham stuff, is when it's on sale, because I haven't got around to running it yet.
Yeah, I
really
got
like
it because you told me that it was on sale, and I was like, I should go check it out.
Yeah.
And dude, it was like getting free books. So I was like, oh my god.
Yeah,
I'll
it was
take
that's
one
how
of
it
you.
happens.
It was a
I
good
totally
deal.
forgot. Sitting right back there.
I got this is a horrible visual, but this is actually the new Elder Scroll Call to Arms Giant.
Ah.
So I got one of those that I'll paint up. Probably use as a Firbolg or something in my game because it's scale wise a little different. What else? Oh, got my copy of this.
Yes.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I was shocked that it came as fast as it did. But you would put a post up, Greg, about if you order now, it'll be in by Christmas.
People ordered it on that day. Yeah,
I did order it on that day, and it came in. I was
Cool.
super pumped. I didn't think I'd have it in time to even get a chance to glance at it before tonight, which was great. It was my birthday Saturday, so my son got me some miniatures.
Oh, nice.
Got me some of these.
Age of Sigmar.
Yep.
Do you play Warhammer, or you just use the
Nah.
miniatures?
I just use the miniatures.
Cool.
Although this is a different topic, but I will be playing some Warhammer after a conversation I had today. What else did I get?
Oh boy.
Oh, today actually I got I like the Paizo graphic novels, so I get all the Pathfinder ones. And when I got the latest Pathfinder one, I found out they had a Starfinder one, so I ordered that. That actually showed up today, but I haven't even barely looked at it because I worked all day. So, Edgelord, I have no idea if Call to Arms is any good. I just like the miniatures because I'm a Skyrim nerd.
yep. My son bought them and painted them for the same reason.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
paint them because they're wicked cool. And,
Yeah, I wish that I had kept because I got
Thanks,
rid of
Joe.
mine at Rogers Con. Call to Arms is it's the same level of good as the Fallout Wasteland Warfare. So if you like miniature combat, it's good. It's certainly well produced. The miniatures are a little frustrating sometimes.
Yep.
Their quality is not top tier, but they're certainly usable. The rules are not difficult, but I don't do verses. So I got it. I was like, hey, Roger, we should take a look at this. And then I read it and I was like, I don't want to play this. I don't want to fight Roger. I want to fight with Roger against
The
bad
skirmish
guys.
game, yeah.
So
Yeah.
the versus thing is just not for me. If it is for you, certainly check it out. Just get the starter set and go to town with it.
Yeah. The Trench Crusade definitely looks cool.
Yeah.
It's all, I think they have a miniatures line now, but it's all miniatures.
Yeah, they do.
agnostic.
They do, but you can use anything.
Yeah, you use anything you want, which is great. Try doing that with Warhammer.
I usually use the miniatures in like my RPGs and stuff. But
Yeah.
when I got into miniatures, really got into them and stuff years ago, the one game I've always wanted to play is Mordheim. And one of my bucket list things is to build a Mordheim board. I just love the aesthetic of it. And they just started running it at Crossroad Games, my local game store. And unfortunately, it's typically in a day it's a Saturday. Saturdays are bad for me because I'm usually gaming 3 Saturdays out of the month. So I don't really, unless it falls on the open day, I won't be able to do it. But one of the guys there, hooked up with him today while I was working there, and he's going to show me. So after the holidays, we're going to play. So I'm going to get a chance to finally use, because I have the game. I dug out my rule book when I got home tonight. So I'm going to paint up my warband and play some Mordheim and maybe get off my ass and make my board, which I'd use in a role-playing game too. But
yeah, sure.
Cool.
Well, double purpose. I mean, all that stuff
Yeah.
you can use.
Yeah. All my stuff is, I don't usually use anything that I can't use again. If I make it or paint it or whatever, it gets used a lot, typically.
Yeah, cool. Well, you guys know I have a problem with Kickstarter. If you've got a love-hate relationship,
Not you.
with stuff. They just I think today Dynamite launched the Thundercats RPG.
Dynamite the comic book guys?
Yeah.
Green Hornet and all that? Okay.
I impulse backed it, and I don't know. Because Thundercats is like, that was one of the cartoons that
My brother loved the Thundercats. I was not a Thundercats guy.
No,
Yeah.
but it's a 5e based system, and so
And
I
you
don't
backed
know.
it anyway.
Well,
Does everybody play as Snarf?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Like I don't know how it's going to be set up. It might be good. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it is. Yeah, of course I did. Yeah. Well, I have a problem. But speaking of 80s '80s cartoons that they turned into RPGs. I got this. This showed up. This is a reprint of the Palladium RPG.
Yeah, the hardback collector's edition
from
Very
a while
nice.
ago. I got the nice, the hardback collector's edition and the adventure
That
guide
cover
and
looks
stuff.
really
Pretty
great.
cool.
Yeah.
It does, yeah. It's really cool. They got the so that's the cover of the core book, and then
That's cool.
there's the Transdimensional Adventures book.
Does it use the same system as Rifts and the Palladium RPG?
Yeah,
That
it's
you
all
repeatedly
compatible.
told me that you don't like.
Yeah, but the TMNT one, see the here we go. The TMNT one is self-contained, and so like if you were gonna play the TMNT game, you like have that, and it's by itself, and it's only got a list of like the skills and stuff that are there, and the book is really thin. I mean, that book is thick, but the original book is only, it's got to be under 200 pages, and it's thin, and there's not a whole lot in there. Whereas with Rifts or Palladium, there's 40 books, and they all got different skills, and they all got different
You
stuff.
have to use them, and they don't all have skills. That is not correct. I will defend Palladium to the hilts, man. You know that. You can easily play Rifts with the Rifts core rulebook. You can easily play Palladium with the Palladium core rulebook. You don't need those expansions. Just because they're available doesn't mean you have to use them.
Yeah,
but that's not available to somebody under a Geas like he is.
Right.
Yeah.
He feels compelled to buy.
He was hit by a
That's
genie when he was a
strong
kid, and he
motivation.
was told, buy it all.
Yeah.
self-contained. Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's cool stuff. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I picked this up at a convention a few weeks ago because of you, Greg. This is all your fault. Because you said it was amazing, and then put a whole video guide.
I don't actually have the physical box. That's awesome. Like, I've never seen it at local stores, and I know if I bought it, I don't have anybody to play with it here except my son. I play it all online on VTT, and I already have my VTT all set up for it and everything. If they had it at my local store, I'd probably feel compelled to buy it at some point. But
what VTT do you use?
I just use Roll20 for it because not only do I use Roll20 with my game groups, but I've run several games for team building, I guess is the best word for it, team building at work, and played it with somebody who's never even played a role-playing game before. Roll20 is so simple and easy enough to use. They don't have to learn how to use macros of any kind. They don't have to use any of that stuff. And I can just take someone who I've worked with. We all work remote in my company. So I take somebody that I've worked with. I can just explain a few things and give them access to this, and it works, right? And they can see where they are in the place and move their token around, and I don't need to have it fully model the whole system, integrated checks and all kinds of stuff like that. I can just make it work. Mm-hmm. The barrier to teaching a brand new person how to use Roll20 is incredibly low. /R and then type whatever, you're good.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely true. Yeah.
Have you seen the new Alien book, Greg?
I haven't, because of all the videos and Chubby Funstering I've been doing. I got Destroyer of Worlds 2 years ago when I had a much lower workload. Now it's so much. I with so many things today. This is not just Alien. There's a huge risk of buying right after it comes out, because so many products get corrupted, whether it's a movie or a video game or something like I'm glad I didn't buy Starfield from Bethesda on the day that it came out. I'm glad, because it's not for me. I wouldn't have known that, because all the predictions that you would have in the past of this is made by a company that I can trust, that's no longer true. This is made by a team or made by I know that it's going to appeal. So I almost wait 6 months on anything, even unless it's from somebody I personally know. Like I would just caution. I don't want. I'm just tired of swinging and missing the football. Lucy keeps pulling out the football, and I'm done with it.
Man, you mentioned Starfield. I am one of those guys. Pre-ordered, super excited.
Greg, you got a super chat.
Yeah, I was just saying, Bart Madley, thank you so much. Great comments in here and on a bunch of the videos that I've been doing. Much appreciated.
Just wanted to make sure you got it before he headed out.
Yeah, since he was leaving.
So,
go ahead, Jason.
Yeah, sorry about that, Jason.
Yeah, Starfield, man, I was super excited for it. Todd Howard said it was basically Skyrim in space. Well, man, you want to sell me a game, you call it Skyrim in space, and I'm a pre-order sucker. Got the collector's edition. Boy, I finished it just out of a force of will. Very unhappy with it. Uninstalled it the second I finished it. A year later, the DLC came out, and I was like, man, why did I stop playing Starfield? I honestly could not remember. Installed it again, started playing the DLC. Half an hour into the DLC, I was like, that's why I stopped playing Starfield. Uninstalled it, have never looked at it again. And, keep it on with Bethesda. They just released the Fallout 4 Anniversary Edition. Hot garbage. Broke my game on my Xbox and my PC, uninstalled both, got refunds. I will not do it again. Oh, I was furious with that stuff. Now, I still love Fallout 4. A lot of people are like, if it's not New Vegas, I don't want to play it. Okay, I wasn't keen on Fallout 4 when it first came out. I didn't like the departure from the other stuff, from 3 in New Vegas. It's still a very good game, and I play Fallout 76. I play it every single night. So, still a big fan. Just Bethesda really pisses me off sometimes.
I've only really ever played Fallout 4. I haven't played.
New Vegas is so good; it's unreal.
I'll have to try that one. I like Fallout 4. So.
And 3 is good. Everybody when New Vegas came out, everybody kind of forgot about 3. But man, I loved Fallout 3. I thought it was for me. It was a great modern sequel to Fallout 1 and 2. I love it. I think 3 is wonderful. But New Vegas, man, and dude, the DLC for New Vegas, all of it is incredible. Oh boy, just yes. Yeah, and like you can get Fallout New Vegas for like $9.
Perfect.
The Game of the Year edition has all the DLC. Just go get it and play it. I promise you'll love it.
I will for sure.
Yep. Agile Monk, thanks, buddy. Longtime fan as well, friend.
He's a good dude.
I didn't even know you had a Kickstarter coming in 2026. It's going to be good.
What do you got? What do you got coming out?
Tell us more about it.
Well, where are we going?
Oh, even the modders gave up on Starfield. Is not good. Yeah,
It looked like crap.
Yeah, in fact, the modder community released a statement together, and it was, quote, "The game is trash, and we are not going to mod this."
Oof.
Yeah.
There was a time when I would buy any Star Wars video game, period. Just as soon as it came out, Star Wars video game, I'm buying that. That day is long gone now.
Yeah. Did you play the MMO, the Old Republic?
No. The only MMO that I've ever really gotten into was World of Tanks. Which,
wow.
Yeah,
I thought you were going to say World of Warcraft.
There's one reason it's fantastic. This is in my opinion, the key green flag for a MMO.
Arnold Schwarzenegger plays it.
The average age of the average player. So the average age of World of Tanks players is like 35 compared to like 21 or 18 for some of these other ones. Yeah. And so you would actually get pretty reasonable people that were part of playing the game.
That's cool.
World of Tanks also taught me an enormous amount about wargaming because the way that they model detection radiuses is inspired in that it's calculating what is between each tank and each other tank and determining whether the sight can penetrate through enough bushes or whatever to see whatever it is. So you can have a little light tank get way up into position, hiding behind a bush, and it can see everybody, but they can't see it because it's concealed and tiny and small. And like it totally changes how I feel about how Mech Warrior should play, or BattleTech from a tabletop perspective. You know, how these things should work, how sight lines should work. There's a lot of games where they just figured out just one mechanic, and you're like, "Ooh, that's really good." They captured something with that.
That's cool.
That's awesome. Agile, yeah. If you want to put something in the chat, I don't think you could post a link, but if you want to tell us, the name of your company or something like that, go ahead. Drop
And
that stuff.
is it going to be on actual Kickstarter or a different crowdfunding?
Yeah. Video game disappointing. Why a tabletop RPG? No, yeah.
I used to be a modder, and I got tired of modding and spending your time writing and creating something that would then eventually become obsolete, and I would have no control over it anyway. So I figure if I'm going to put the same amount of level of coming up with ideas and putting them into a thing, and I should be doing it in text and own it.
That's great.
We're talking about the age in video games, and today this happened to come up. So my daughter's 12, she'll be 13 in March, and she got a thing from Roblox today, and Roblox now, because they've gotten in trouble or whatever, because there's a bunch of people on there looking for kids and stuff. So now their new way of making sure that you're only talking to people your own age is you have to, if you want to chat with people, you have to allow it to take pictures of you. It takes a straight on picture and then to the left and to the right, and it uses AI to determine how old you are, and then it puts you in that age group for who you could talk to in the game.
Oh, that couldn't possibly backfire.
Oh my God. And it says we delete the photos after scanning and all that stuff. But I'm oh my God, are you kidding me? Like, this is ridiculous. So that's like their way of solving the problem.
Sheesh.
I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. Wow.
Crazy.
There was I think it was Pennsylvania, maybe not Philadelphia, but somewhere in Pennsylvania where they had a school district that had all these laptops, and the laptops that kids were taking home with them. And so they put some kind of software on it to turn on the kid's camera randomly to see if they were using drugs or something, and then turn it off.
God.
And of course, instantly people were like, how could you not see the problem with turning on a kid's camera randomly in their room? Like,
wow.
Who would be stupid enough to approve that?
Right.
I don't know. I don't even understand.
Right. Oh my God. That's just there's so many things that can go wrong there. Jeez. That's nuts. Yeah, that's crazy. The reason I want to back up a little bit, because there was something I want to touch on. The Alien thing. The reason I asked about the new version of Alien is I got it. I got the new version of it, and I don't.
That was 20 minutes ago.
I don't like the aesthetics of it. I was just wondering what you thought of it. So if you ever pick it up,
I haven't looked at the art except for the cover.
The art's fine.
The original one, not totally original, but whatever the one is that's the Free League version. That has just been fantastic the whole time. So you're saying they changed it.
Yeah. So so originally the book was a matte black finish.
Yeah.
The cover, which was fantastic. And then all the pages inside were, dark with light colored print. So we got, this is the original one.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah.
And
that's a great book.
And so, and you've got, everything inside is like this. It's all dark with lighter print and stuff. Well,
and that's the original one, right?
That's the original. Yeah, that's the original. The new one, they went white with a green text.
Oh, it's going to be hard to read.
And I mean, I think it's
Better than
okay.
yellow, but I guess it's still not.
Yeah, but it's not. And the cover is like a gloss. It's not a matte, which is fine. I mean, it's but the whole thing is like I said, it's white background with this green kind of print, and I think it's okay. I think Matt said it best last week when he said, like, if that was the first edition, was like that, it'd be fine. But because of the first edition one being, the dark, light on dark, that it makes this version look bad.
Yeah, but it ties into what we were talking about games being a hit or miss. Is the thing that hurts is knowing how good it could be. Yeah. Knowing that they could have, after the success of New Vegas, that they could have just paid a small team, 5 guys, whatever, to just make game after game after game after game using that engine, covering huge amounts of territory, covering all that stuff. They could have easily done that, but as minimal of an investment that is, they would rather have rolled whatever that money was into developing the next big flashy thing that doesn't have the substance that people want. Every game seems to be getting worse in that respect over time. Whatever the franchise is, it starts out as being some incredible thing, and then it just erodes away until you're like, well, that's not even a thing for me anymore. I only play the original one. I don't play, Fallout 8 or whatever they get up to when they end up crashing out. It sucks that we know that it can be done better.
Yeah. I can't I can't do the time, like and we mentioned that earlier, but like you look at some of these games and they're all like got 40 hours of gameplay with extra time. I just don't have time commitment. Yeah. I mean, that's great. I know for like value, if you're going to pay $60, $70 for a game, obviously you don't want to finish it in 8 hours. Like, I get it, but like, it's not for me. I'm going to have to start playing World of Tanks. I think that's the,
my son plays games like Far Cry, and
I love Far Cry.
And I'm like, I like them,
up until 6.
It's bizarre to say things like this. There's only 60 hours of my entertainment there. Whereas I can play a lot of games for 1,000 hours. So why would I choose to spend the money? I have limited resource. I'm not going to put on that. Like, as good as that game might look for 60 hours, is it going to deliver over the long haul? I wouldn't have thought this when I first got it because it took a lot of expansions to make it great. But Civ 6 has more gameplay hours for me than any other video game ever, probably like 2,500, 3,000 hours. And the amount of money that I put in is maybe 150, 200 bucks. Yeah. So the cost per hour is incredible.
I feel that way. Civilization, big fan of Civilization. Most of Sid Meier's games are incredible. I still play 4. 4 is my go-to.
4 is great.
I really like 5, and then like they kept adding stuff to it. Like, it's got more and more complicated now. It's like, okay, I want to simulate that I'm running a country. I don't want to run a country, and so I just uninstalled 5. I didn't want to play it anymore. And when 6 came out, it got slammed. Like, everybody was dogpiling. Critics and players were like, "This is garbage. Why is Genghis Khan in Paris, France?" It was things like that. And I was like, I don't.
6 is the new one.
Yeah,
that's the newest one.
7 is the newest one.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Okay. 7 is new. Okay, then it's 5.
Like,
I'm sorry.
Many
it's
games,
6. I
what
got tired of
happens
so 5 is what I play.
It comes out and for like a year it might suck.
Yeah.
And then they start adding in so many expansions that it eventually turns into just a really solid game because they've tweaked out. The community has given them enough feedback of like, don't do this, you need more of this or whatever. And you end up getting to where it's almost perfect. And then they're like, well, we've perfected this. Let's ruin it all by creating a brand new one that will go through another part of this cycle with.
Yeah. Okay. So 7 is the latest one then.
Yeah, and
Okay, that's the one that I was like,
my
I'm not
understanding
gonna
is
check
it's
it out.
dog shit now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I stopped playing 6 because it got too complicated for me. 5 is my go-to.
Oh, okay.
But like I said, when they released Brave New World for 5, for me that was like peak Civilization. It was everything that I wanted it to do. Love it. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Roger. I know you're saying
that. The way you describe that there, Greg, it reminds me of like the same way that that WotC handles like D&D, where they just I don't know if that was on purpose or
3.5 was great. Let's crap out 4
just
and
keep
see if
adding
everyone
stuff
likes
and
it.
adding stuff
Well,
and adding stuff to it.
In order to make it work for WotC, Sid Meier would have to go around and tell people to literally stop playing the previous edition.
Yes.
Maybe like make it so you could no longer buy the previous edition anywhere, and you could only buy this new edition. One of the things I talked about in my there's a video on my channel called Adventure Design 101, and I went through 4 different ways of designing an adventure that I think are the most common way. And one of them was basically the way that 4E does it. But I was like, if they had just introduced this as a new alternative way of doing things, it probably would have been fine. D&D tactics, and here's how it works.
Yeah.
Right? And you get a map that looks like a dungeon, but it's not really a dungeon. It's like 4 or 5 encounter areas that are connected, and you're supposed to run them as basically tactical combats through these areas. And that would be totally fine if it wasn't them saying, this is D&D now, you have to play it, this is how D&D works. And people are like, no, this is not how D&D works. So they're victims of their own hubris. They cannot just accept that this thing is good, we're going to continue it, but we're going to also create a new thing. Somebody mentioned, Paul mentioned XCOM in the chat. They didn't say, we're releasing XCOM 2 and we're going to delete all copies of XCOM. And if you play XCOM 1, you're not a real XCOM player. Like, I don't know why they do this. It's just throwing money away.
Yeah. Well, they think that's the way to push people into buying the new edition. I guess it's bully them into it. Yep. This isn't real D&D unless you're playing the newest, unless you have the latest updates. I mean, I bet like they're jealous of some of the like the online gaming world where when you log in to go play Skyrim, it says, oh, you have to download this update. Like I think that Hasbro wishes they could, like when you open the books it says, oh, we gotta download the update for $4.99 or whatever.
That's exactly what they want.
Just crazy.
They don't understand the role that the D&D the DM plays in the process. They think of it like it's just somebody who's running a raid team or something in an MMO. Like no, like this person is an integral part of how the game is experienced, and they totally devalue that person's contribution. And then when it doesn't work, they're like, well, what's going on? Why isn't it working? Well, because you aren't respecting the co-creator of the game with you, which is the DM. And so they create everything to screw over the DM. And then they're like, oh, we have a DM crisis. Like, well, yeah, of course. Yeah. You annihilated it.
And that's probably a good lead in to talk about your channel. Which I think you've done a fantastic job with a handful of modules to sit down and show people, hey, look, this is what's good. This is a good entry point. This is a good kind of progression to go through. And what made you like? Is it because that wasn't out there? Is that why you decided to start doing that? Or
I'll tell you the real secret is that it's all for me. See, I want to write the best possible thing, right? So when it started with Gods of the Forbidden North, which I picked up at North Texas, and I met Rob in person, and we talked about. Started reading it, and I realized that he had gone the farthest that anybody I'd ever seen go in the direction I want to go. Right. So I was like, okay, so what is it about this product that speaks to me so much? So the first video I did that wasn't like a small number of views, Chubby Funster, this is how you do this thing in my game type of video, was a review of Gods of Forbidden North. And I said, this is why I think this thing is a 10 out of 10. Right. And I laid that all out. And then I was, going through that process. Okay, that made me realize that there's all this structure into the thing. So then I made a video about dungeon design. That's like, this is how I think dungeon design should work. And then I said, okay, well, how does that done in this module? And then I broke down individual modules. Someone mentioned King's Festival in the chat a little while ago. I broke down King's Festival. I was like, this is what it's like to run King's Festival. This is what it says in the book. And so many people want to offer their opinions on things, having just skimmed through a book and never run it, never read it really deeply, doesn't know anything. And so the mission for me is to get to the point where I can articulate to myself why this is so good, so that then when I make my own content, it will align with that, right? Because it's very hard to have self-awareness of your own writing at that level. It's just very difficult. So I think there's like a premise of, if you want to learn a particular thing, teach it to somebody else, because in the process of coming up with all the ways that you're going to explain it to this other person, you're solidifying it all in your own brain. And that's what I'm doing. So I'm not doing this for any, public or any particular idea. It's just, this is how I think it works. This is why this is mechanically what I think is happening when we play this game. And so, like, my most successful video so far was about cognitive load. And there's so many things that when I'm a GM, I wish I was doing better. And so I'm saying, like, why is it that I can't consistently do this thing? I want to do the thing. Why can't I accomplish this? And the reason is because at the time I'm trying to do the thing, there's all these things going on in my head for other systems in the game, and I'm overlooking that thing consistently. And say, so how can we design a game or a module or whatever it is so that doesn't happen, right? So, like, I have a hard time remembering when people have light sources or don't, right? Just being on a VTT where I have to turn on auras and stuff, that makes me manually think about it in a way that I didn't think about before I had a VTT. So, like, what tools can we create, like Torch Timer in Shadowdark, or equipment slots so that you can't really cheat encumbrance, or this or that, different thing. That's one of the reasons I like Shadowdark, is it most aligns with those ideas. But there's so much more to be done. I mean, Shadowdark is just a step in the right direction in terms of dealing with, how can I make sure I don't forget that they're paying their hirelings? I don't know. I don't have an answer to that question. I'm constantly running into that. I constantly forget to ask, hey, did you pay that mercenary group that you hired to defend your fort? I can't remember that. Why? How can I fix that? So the whole architecture of all these videos is for me to answer those questions.
Well, I can answer that question if you haven't answered it yourself yet. But my game, I use the real world calendar in my game, and when the first of the month comes around in game, which is always near the first of the real month, I've got a player that tracks all of that stuff, and that's when all the mercenaries get paid and all the payouts happen and all the things happen. So it all happens all at once. We do all that math, in a 10-minute thing, instead of like trying to do it, every week or whatever in game, but that's how we do it. I don't know if that's the right way to do it, but
I bet you I'll figure out some way to screw that up.
Yeah, well,
I'll forget to ask. It'll be the 5th, and I'll be like, oh crap, I forgot to ask you guys about that on the 1st.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I want to work towards. Is some
Sure.
kind of structure, some kind of way to run the game, way to write the material so that it's easier for people to remember. You know, a lot of just books they're written in a linear fashion rather than in chunks that the GM can more easily load into their brain. You know, there's all kinds of different ways that we can improve just the writing process. Just the layout, the presentation. I do my own layout. I've done layout for my job for a long time. And so to me, when I see, I pick up a menu at a restaurant, and yes, there's food listed on it, but my first thing is I'm looking at all of the columns and the way that the headers are working and everything like that. That's just because I've done layout for a certain amount of time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How many people in role-playing games think about the layout? Mostly they think about writing or stat blocks or whatever. They just don't think about it. So there's so many ways we can improve.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And like you've done a lot of different videos on stuff, and I want to talk about some of them. But yeah, Forbidden North, that's something that I think I want to run. At some point, it does seem like it's pretty amazing. And then watching your videos on it just makes me want to do that more. But and the third book is almost out.
He's finished it and sent it to layout.
Okay.
So it should be available in the spring at some point.
Okay, cool.
I just reshared a post from him today where he said he finally did the last part. Like he had been sending it in chunks to lay out, as things got solidified, and he said he's done the last one now.
And this is all the Underworld?
No. So the first volume one is the surface world. Volume 2 is the Underworld, which is the same size map. Like, so I think it's it's like a 20 by 30 hex map for the surface, and the Underworld is a 20 by 30 hex map that perfectly lines up underneath it. And then volume 3 is the mega dungeon castle that goes between both. So on the surface, it's just a castle. In the Underworld, it's this huge sprawling complex that's underneath there.
Cool.
And what system does this use?
OSE.
Okay.
So OSE. And so when you're running it, you're using OSE?
I made a game called Ambition and Avarice, and it was very much mechanically made to interact with all the old school. Labyrinth Lord was the dominant game at the time back then, but it would have worked with Osric or OSE or anything like that. And then it was totally fine when they were level 1. When they started going up levels, power balancing between systems became. I was already struggling enough with just running the thing. I was like, I just can't do this kind of on the fly translation of spells into other spells and stuff like that. I'm like, let's just go to OSE. So we just converted the characters to OSE. But we've been running at OSE for 15 sessions now, probably.
Yeah. There is a lot of Shadowdark specific stuff out there. But
people have asked me, like, could you run it in Shadowdark? And the problem is that the power curve levels in OSE, Labyrinth Lord, Osric type games compared to Shadowdark are just different. There's a really long progression from first to much higher than 10th level in a lot of cases, and it just does not. It doesn't go one-to-one. So you end up. It's okay for a while, and then it just stops being mathematically comparable, and the GM is going to be game designing. I think Rob said his task after Volume 3 is to begin doing conversions, and he's debating between 5e and Shadowdark. He used to be really convinced that 5e was the best choice monetarily, popularity wise, but he has gotten so many requests for it in Shadowdark that he's like, well, maybe I should do it in Shadowdark first. So I don't know what his final decision is going to be. To answer Dan real quick, OSE Advanced.
Yeah.
And Edgelord, I have run Shadow Sun, but not in over a year. I've just been doing other stuff. There's a thing when you write your own material where you've play tested before it even goes to market. You've play tested and you've run it so much. After it goes to market, you play it for a little while, and then you're like, I played way more of this game than you guys. I'm gonna do something else. You know.
Well, and you got to start play testing the next thing.
That's right. Yeah.
So yeah, I've been enjoying the Forbidden North stuff, and that's I wanted to buy it. Somebody had it at auction at CNY, and I bid on it, but Tankar beat me to it.
I heard about this. Yeah.
Yeah. So
the premium Kickstarter edition ones are. I mean, the paper quality, the way it feels in your hand, it's just it's very nice.
Yeah, that's cool. And I don't know if there's another Kickstarter for it. I don't know why I never backed it. I probably should have. I back everything else, but so I don't know why that slipped through. But if he ends up doing another Kickstarter, I'm definitely going to be, in on that. Otherwise, I'll get the PDFs first and then go from there. But I was thinking about running it in Shadow Dark. That's, that would probably be right.
You could probably get up to level 3 or 4 before you started having serious issues, but then it will start to differ.
Yeah, sure.
There's so many more gradations and spell levels. The higher you get, like the difference between a 3rd level Shadow Dark spell and a 3rd level OSE spell starts to get really big. And there's a thing Alexander McCrease talks about with rules light systems, where eventually the GM has to make so many house rules that he's becoming more of the game designer than the system.
Right.
Yeah, it takes longer with different systems, but it can happen. And I think it would really happen if you were trying to meld between 2 incompatible things, because you're going to have to be coming up with all of the connections.
Yeah, rules light is really rules heavy, just not yet.
It's for the GM to do. Yeah.
I mean, eventually it gets there.
A lot of people who advocate for it, they have basically a software loaded on their brain that runs a particular thing, no matter whether they're running. They could be running Alien, they could be running OSE, they could be running Walking Dead. Doesn't matter, because they're using the same resolution, the same kind of instinctive response to different problems. So for them, it's okay to be rules light. They could do it in Star Wars because the game they're really running is in their head. It's not Easy D6 or whatever you're running out. It's that their brain is the game engine.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I like rules light systems, and I mean, I think they have a place. I think they're good for smaller campaigns. I think after you get past 5 to 10 sessions, that's when you start to get bogged down by having to have all these rulings end up piling up, and you end up having to adjudicate so much. So and I think that's where a lot of the a lot of people have moved to Shadow Dark, where it has enough on there where you can run a long form campaign with it. And, it has enough rules on there, but it's light enough. It's kind of that perfect kind of right in the middle. We don't have a whole load of rules and stuff to deal with, but it's not, it's not like a Morkborg or something like that where, there's really nothing there, So my opinion anyway, but
I agree. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. Run their thief 100 feet ahead of the party in the dungeon, leaving marks on the floor and chalkmarks, letting the party know which way they go. I mean, I don't. We don't normally do that. We just have the party. The thief kind of just goes back and tells the party where they're going or whatever.
I've never seen that.
100 feet is a long way inside a dungeon.
in a
Usually
dungeon.
the
Yeah,
thief is afraid of getting killed out there 100 feet
Yeah.
up.
yeah,
I'll run my ranger out in the wilderness well in front of the party. I have no problem at all doing that. But man, 100 feet inside a dungeon,
yeah. That's not
dead
good.
thief.
Our party thief, he'll do it, but he usually has the party ranger with him.
Okay,
Wow.
cover all the bases.
Yeah, he's like,
Yeah.
I'm not going out
Yeah,
there
there
by
you go.
myself. Unless I
Well,
have
that's
to.
why thieves are cheap.
Yeah,
That's the one class that my guys in Forbidden North have really not had a lot of PCs in, because the solutions that they have are usually so conservative that they don't need a thief for it. The thief is for like bold moves, and they're like, oh no, we're not going to go in there. We're going to set a fire out here and put smoke in that, and then they'll come out to us. I'm not going down that dark tunnel.
Yeah. What do you need a thief for if you're doing everything, outside or out in the open? Yeah, sure. So for Forbidden North, that's definitely on my list. Destroyer Worlds, like I said, that's something that I definitely want to run. Using some of your videos there as as guidance on where to go. What do you think?
There's so much going on in Destroyer Worlds. It's the ideas in the module are fantastic. The hard thing is remembering when to deploy them all as you're running it. That's why I said, like, I made like the list in just a text file of like all the things that I needed to accomplish in this particular frame. And then I wouldn't forget one because I could just go down and knock them off. But if I was trying to run that at a table physically without a reference like that, it would be it's very hard, because it goes to, I'm not picking on Alien here. This is very common. I see it in you can see it in tons of my videos where they'll put information that in any particular moment, the GM needs this amount of information, and it's on 4 different pages. And it's like, why would you do that? Why would you write it that way? But it makes sense to write it that way in a narrative literature sense, because you're discussing this one item in this other chapter where it makes sense, it fits with everything that's in that chapter, and then you're discussing the second item in a different chapter where it fits with that information. But that's not how the game is. The game is all of those things intersecting at one time, so you can't have all those things up referenced at the same time, and it's very challenging.
I watched some of your Curse of Strahd videos, and the Curse of Strahd, I ran that in I used Hyperborea to run it. And
that was probably a good choice.
It is great. It's fantastic. And I was a big fan of the original Ravenloft, and so Curse of Strahd seemed overwhelming, and I kind of ran in, I think, to like some of the same issues that you did going through it, is just like there's no like cohesive thing going on, and it's just everything seems like scattered all over the place. And I ended up having to I probably rewrote, I don't know, half of it, maybe a third of it at least, and put in stuff from some of the second edition. They had like a ton of, Ravenloft supplements and things like that. And just stuff from there I had, put in and rewrote areas. And
what was it called? Something of Dread, right? I can't remember.
Domains of Dread.
Yeah, the Domains of Dread. Yeah. And that's where they tried to make it seem like, okay, Ravenloft is just a prison for Strahd, and then there's another plane that's a prison for somebody else, and all of that.
And this is 5th edition, right?
Yeah.
Well, Curse of Strahd was 5th edition.
Right.
Domains of Dread is from 2nd edition.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think the fundamental problem with Curse of Strahd is, and I picked it because it was hailed by so many people as like the best 5e module. And a friend of mine told me that one of the ways that he determined popularity was looking at what the paid GMs were offering. So like if you go to a thing and you're like, there's There's paid GM. What are they offering to run for you? That's probably the most popular because they're trying to appeal to the greatest number of people, right? So they're going to pick the most popular modules to run. So Curse of Strahd was like huge on the list, and I was like, okay, well, I think the kind of revolutionary innovation of my channel is reading the book. Like, I mean, it's not like it's not some magic idea that I had.
Yeah.
And what I found when you actually read the book is that what they took is they took I6 from the original Ravenloft, and they took all those ideas and they kept it in place. And then there's a loop in the module where you're in the town and then you go up to the castle, right? Mm-hmm. And so what they did was they said, well, what we're going to do is we're going to stop you from getting to the castle right away because it's going to be a level 9 dungeon. And then we're going to add a whole bunch of useless shit over here to the west. And we're going to put all this stuff together, and it's not going to make sense why a lot of it is even there. It's not going to make sense, but it's going to provide you with stuff to grind your way through so that you can eventually get back to Castle Ravenloft and like just run it without all that useless crap to the west. Just run it originally and you probably would have been fine. Or make the stuff that you insert good. Another possible option. But they didn't do either of those. And it's hard to look at a beautiful physical product and have the mental focus, I guess is the word. It's to just strip all the beauty of the physical body out of the thing and just look at the text. Mm-hmm. And people really can't do that. And you can just have absolute dog shit in a beautiful layout with great art, and people are like, "Ooh, this is really good," because it just hits that primitive part of their brain, you know. Like, but there was a part of the Curse of Strahd where I had a page up from the book, and on the other half of the screen, I just put it in Notepad, you know, and I'm like, this is the same thing. Right? This is the same thing, and it sucks in both sides. You know, just because it looks really good over here doesn't mean that it is good. It is just looking good. There's a lot of food that looks good that I've eaten and I don't want to eat it. It still looks good. There's no change. So that's been the thing. Like just reading. Sometimes I want to be like, I'll just strip the entire thing out into a Notepad file. And is it good as a Notepad file? Because if it's not, then it's not a good product anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, no matter how much you dress it up or spray perfume on it or whatever. Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah.
You know, that sort of thing's been around forever. I mean, advertising, advertising is all about making useless stuff look indispensable. But with WotC, it's the TikTok generation. You know, oh, this looks great. I'm going to get it. Regardless of whether it's good or not. When they started releasing the black covers, the limited edition you had to get in the store early to get the cover, it's the same book. And those black covers are really not that limited. You can find them anywhere now. But they told them, black cover, you're never going to find these anywhere else. So, I worked in a comic shop after I retired in Alaska, and we would order our new WotC books. Myself and one of the other players in the store, we grabbed a black edition out of the box, put 3 more up on the shelf, open the door up at 10 o'clock, and there are 20 people outside rushing in to get those 3 books for no reason other than that it looked good. So it's the same thing. And I totally agree. All of the, we've been accused of crapping on 5e, but, I think this is real. You can look at the early dungeons from first edition. A lot of them were just ridiculous because Gary just thought in ways that I still don't understand. Second edition, I thought the dungeons were really good. They were well created. The traps made sense to me. I enjoyed all of the second edition dungeons. 3.5, kind of the same thing. I thought most of them were pretty good. A lot of them were just re-editions of the earlier modules. And 5th edition came along, and I was one of those people that bought all into the 5th edition modules. I was thrilled to death to see, the what is it, Rise of Tiamat, or the Dragon series.
Yeah.
Against the Giants. I was thrilled to see those. And when they released Curse of Strahd, I was super excited because I was a huge fan of it in second edition. But like you said, in Strahd especially, I started flipping through the book for Strahd, and I was like, what the F is this? This is not Strahd. It's supposed to be closer to Nosferatu, not, Bela Lugosi, I will suck your blood. It's not supposed to be like that. But that's what they turned it into. And I was just like, man, this sucks.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I made a whole video. I think it's the 8th out of 10 where I had the Ian Malcolm from Jurassic Park going, is there going to be any dinosaurs on this dinosaur tour? And I had like, is there going to be any horror in this horror game? Like, where the hell is it? It's not here, and it just looked pretty, but the actual things were just lame and just very poorly designed.
And it doesn't help that they started leaning heavily into DEI, and I'm not trying to get political, but that's in the module where they specifically don't call them whatever the hell they were called, the gypsies. Oh, we don't want to offend the gypsies. Okay, you mean the Romani that live in Romania? I don't think they're big D&D players. Who are you worried about offending here? And Stan brought this up. We were talking about this very thing a few weeks ago. One of the women that helps you in the gypsy village, well, in the original, she had a wooden leg, and she hid it because it's a weakness that you can't let the monsters outside the town know that you're weak. So she hid it. Well, in 5th edition, oh, look at my stump. This gives me strength. What is this crap you're doing to this module? This is not Ravenloft.
Well, that one, they like that and the gypsy reference. It's originally in there. Like I have the, like a first printing of Curse of Strahd, and then because they only listen to a certain demographic of perpetually offended people, they went and changed it because that's a bad thing because she hides it. No, she had a valid reason for hiding it. She's a monster hunter. And she's like, here, you don't advertise your weaknesses to your enemy, right? But there's no grasp of that concept,
well, they don't want you to have anything that you could actually want to destroy. That's another thing. So, like all of the early modules that talk about slavery, whether it's Dark Sun or outside of Dark Sun, there's a lot of it in Al-Qadim. There's a lot of it in just the B series modules have it in it. It's an evil thing that you're fighting against. So if you remove it, that just means there's no slavers to go fight. There's no slaves to free. There's nobody to do. So like, what do you think these people are doing? They're just sitting around in a world where there's no more problems, but they need adventurers. Like it just doesn't make sense. They want to remove the thing as if that's somehow helping people, but all it's doing is taking away the plot where you overcome those things.
Yeah, you used to be able to go fought those people. And
there's a group in Gods of the Forbidden North that are slavers. They wait for adventurers to leave the main town, headed for supposedly an easy score for adventurers. They ambush them and enslave them and then sell them to the criminal syndicate, right? My guys wiped them out. They killed every one of them. They they brought the slaves back to town. They were like, hey, freedom, it's great. You couldn't do that if those were just guys in a fort that weren't doing anything wrong. Now you'd be stealing their fort from them.
You're the bad guy.
Yeah.
So. And you mentioned Al-Qadim. Al-Qadim is based specifically on the Ottoman Empire and the Arab Peninsula. If you're going to ignore slavery in that setting, then you are ignoring 75% of that setting.
That's why they haven't remade it. I haven't done anything with it.
Which is too bad because, man,
that's the next Chubby Punster product. Actually, is it's going to be an Islamic setting. It's not actually Islam, but there's kind of an Islamic analog in the way that there is in Al-Qadim, and the culturally Islamic, and it's going to have way more than just the Arabian Peninsula. There's a Persian element to it. There's a steppe. There's a kind of a Cordoba type place. There's a Indonesia where Islam spread all the way down into Southeast Asia for people that don't know. There's like a northern India part. And using those things, because there's tons of great public domain art of all of those places, all of the buildings, all of the ruins, all of this kind of stuff that I wanted to tap into visually. And the number one thing that I've heard from people when I talk about it is they say, don't call it Islamic.
Right.
And I'm like, don't call it medieval fantasy then. Like, you're basing it on a particular set, like a particular part of life. And it's a great thing. To me, it's like, what are you ashamed? Are you ashamed of presenting this part of history to people in a fairly realistic way? Are you ashamed of people knowing things? That's kind of the problem that I have. But I think it's a great, there's tons of stuff to tap into with genies, and the way that Islam thinks about angels is totally different from the way the Christians model angels. They're like beings of light with all kinds of different stuff. They're not winged people. All these different things that you can do that are different and interesting and great. I have a video on my channel about a module called Reunion, which was written by two women who loved Al-Qadim, and Al-Qadim had just been canceled. And so they wrote this module for tournament play. And it was so successful at tournament play that WotC, after they took over the brand, WotC bought this from them and released it as the last thing for Al-Qadim, because it was at that time, two women wrote this great module. Let's celebrate that. Now WotC's ashamed of that module. It's crazy. They've got stickers on it about how bad it is. But the module is basically a love letter to Al-Qadim. There's parts where you have to have internalized the setting to the point that you make the right choices. So, like, for example, there's a strong, in real life in Islam and in Al-Qadim, there's a big emphasis on charitable giving to the poor.
It is one of the pillars of Islam.
Yeah, it's one of the pillars of Islam. So you're in the module, you're trying to get to this place with a limited time, and a beggar comes in front of you, and it says in the game, if they give the beggar alms, no problem, they just walk right back. If they give any resistance, then basically, like, fate has turned to you've broken the tenet of the religion, like, things go bad for you, right? So the actually advancing through the module, you have to understand the parts of the setting that these two women loved. That's why they put it in the module. It's bizarre to me that WotC's ashamed of this stuff. I just don't get it.
Well, we don't talk about politics, so it's very difficult to talk about this without being political. I am trying.
Yeah, me too.
WotC is ashamed of it because they're based in Seattle. And if you're one of the liberal coasters, you're not going to be able to look at Islam through an honest light and say, it can be a beautiful religion about peace. However, it can also be an extremely evil religion based on violence and slavery. They are both in the Quran. And so, like, when the people say, don't call it Islam, there are two reasons they could be doing this. One, they're trying to protect you and your product. And if anybody thinks that Muslims wouldn't possibly come after someone that made a game, ask Salman Rushdie how it feels to be stabbed. Or many of them see it as blasphemy, and that's very important. The people that many Islam or most Muslims are very protective of the religion, and any kind of, not mockery, that's not the right word, but any kind of imitation of the word of Allah is blasphemy, and they take it very, very seriously. So you don't want to offend people, even inadvertently, but you also need to protect yourself, because there's plenty of people that will take it far too far.
I wouldn't use it in marketing or anything, but I'm just talking about the ideas.
Yeah,
that's where they come from. Just like there's English and German and French ideas that are in all the stuff with the other medieval fantasy. So you can see stuff where you're like, that clearly came from French culture, right there. And I got that doesn't make me I'm not stealing from French history or anything.
Right.
That's just what it is. Before it drops off, I wanted to Bradu had a question about Terra Invictus hex maps for other settings. I am in the process now of deciding on and commissioning some kind of maps for Shadow Sun and Shadow Rim that would be better quality. Both of them, all the maps that I've been using have been made by me. And I'm just okay at it, you know. And so moving up to having people that are really, really good at making it costs money. And for a long time, I just didn't have the money for that. I do have the money now. So I am going to be doing that kind of stuff. My son has played Terra Invictus more than I think probably anyone on Earth. He got the early copies of it. He would stay up at night playing it when he was supposed to be in bed. He was solo playing it, and I think it might be the only role-playing game book he's actually read the whole way through because he wanted to find everything on the map. So when I said to him, I was thinking about commissioning a new Terra Invictus map that was like made by like really high caliber artists. And he was like, no way. It's the greatest map. It's we should never change it. And I was like, oh, okay. You know, so I guess there's people out there who think that my maps are better than I think they are. But I do think there's room for improvement in that. And that is something that I'm looking for.
Cool. I didn't get the Shadow Rim map, and I wish I did because there's all the hex keys in the book.
So, I did get the maps.
Yeah. That Shadow Rim is probably the one that I get the most comments on it because in all the other maps you kind of know what the terrain like. It's you can just default to desert if you're in Shadow Sun. In Terra Invictus, every hex is keyed, so it says in the key like you're in a forest, you're into this or whatever. But in Shadow Rim, there's like, is this a forest or is this taiga? Is this mountains or is this just rocky hill? Like it's close. And my perspective on a lot of it is just the GM is going to make that decision. I don't need to make it. If the GM says it's forest, it's forest.
Yeah. I mean that makes a lot of sense. I mean to just have just dump it on the GM, you know, typical game designer.
Well, that's how we do in Roger's campaign. He's got his map up on the wall, and and now, especially now, I'm playing the Ranger. I always want to know, and we go up to a green spot. I'm like, okay, I can see it's green. That's forest. Is this mountainous forest? Is it hilly? Oh, okay, that's hilly forest. Cool. I love it. Big fan of maps. So
have you seen the Explorer in X2?
I have not.
They have a really awesome mechanic. I think should kind of the same thing for Thieves. They have some really great things that should just be copied elsewhere.
Yeah, I agree.
The Ranger is kind of the Explorer class in X2. As they reach certain levels, they start to gain familiarity with a certain number of hexes on the map as a class power. So like if you're within that Ranger's kind of territory, he knows all kinds of stuff about those hexes from leveling up and being in those hexes. And then it expands outward. And I wrote a module for X2 that starts you out at level 9, which is when you start to do the domain play. So like the idea is you don't have to go through all the lower level stuff. You just start out at the domain play level. And in order to make all the pre-gens, one of them is an explorer. I had to go and be like, these are the hexes that this guy is very familiar with. And it really connects the player to the land by having that.
And that's the Warlords of
Warlords is the setting. Mulyadi the Conqueror is the module that's for nines. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, Axe, that's been on my radar for a while. And I backed the It's above me, behind me, the wooden case with the
Awesome.
with the special books in it, the leather bound books and stuff. It's really cool stuff. I've talked to Macris a little bit online, and he's going to come on maybe next month.
That's,
We're gonna
that's
have him
awesome.
on,
He's a great guy. I've
talk
talked
about
to him a lot.
Axe.
Yeah.
Yeah. His design stuff. He's very like mathematically oriented. Like he's got all of that stuff figured out, which is awesome.
Well, like X2, I was in on the Kickstarter, and he sent us the art-free PDFs as soon as they were available. And I was going to bring this up when we were talking about in zero layout, it's still fantastic.
Yeah.
Right? I know that the layout had no impact on me at all.
Yeah.
I was playing it when it looked like a Word document. Yeah.
His some of his ideas with like he's pulled out all of the utility spells from the wizard and stuff that overlap with thief abilities.
Yes, we've talked about that before. I like that a lot.
Which I think is cool because I've seen that in campaigns where you have, the thief is like, hey, I'm gonna go and try and pick that lock, and the wizard's like, oh, knock, or whatever.
Knock that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, okay, well, like that was the thief's 15 minutes, and that was it. So so things like that, and I think are really is really cool. But X2. So you wrote some stuff for X2, and then switched over to Shadow Dark. Is that?
Well,
I don't want to put words in your.
I
didn't switch.
With everything that I do, I want the most people to play it as possible. That whenever you're a writer, you want the most people to read your book.
Sure.
That you can, right? And I created a bunch of things, and the things that have been the most successful energize me to go back and work in that same vein. The things that I released that end up not being as successful, lower energy. It's just I only have a certain amount of time in my life. I want to spend it on the things that are most creatively energizing.
Sure.
And I really love Axe. We played it for a long time. The market for what I was doing was just not there to the degree that and I've said this before, like if I wrote my own game called Ambition and Avarice, the sales for Ambition and Avarice are roughly on par with the sales of my supplements for Axe 2. So if I was just still in that same mold that I was in 4 or 5 years ago, that would have been fine. But Shadow Dark has so much more energy and fandom and power that's coming in, and there's just more people that want to look at it, want to touch the stuff. And so as a developer, like it's not about money, it's just about like I want to do something that people are really excited to interact with, and that Shadow Dark is where it's at for at least the buy-in until the next amazing cool thing happens. So we'll see how that works.
Yeah, the buy-in is definitely a lot lower. I mean, not just financially. I mean, like mentally and everything. To get into Shadow Dark than it is into Axe. Yeah. And that's not a dig on Axe, but it definitely if you're going to run an Axe campaign, you want to run Adventurer, Conqueror, King. I mean, which is long the whole form, gamut, right? And so it's automatically it's going to be a long, campaign, and so there's a bigger buy-in, there's more stuff going on, obviously, and Shadow Dark is fairly
I think Gods of the Forbidden North would be absolutely fantastic as an Axe 2 campaign. There'd be much less of the power conversion that I was talking about earlier with Axe 2 than there would be with Shadow Dark, because Axe 2 is much more in line with OSC in terms of build over time and power of magic and stuff.
The both of their bases is in DX.
It's not really a great land to conquer in a sense. That it's not like you'd basically be doing the colonial level of Acts 2, where you're trying to actually bring families to live on the land because there's nobody living on the land. But I think it'd be great.
That could be cool though.
Yeah.
Well, you got me thinking about that.
Great with games like Dragon Slayer from Greg Gillespie and stuff like that. Like those are the kind of games that are at that right power level.
Yeah. AT&T is the starter kit to X2. Yeah, I think X2 is a little more cleaned up. And I'm a fan of AD&D. I mean, but
when we talk about AD&D, are we talking about TSR or
no? When we're talking about AD&D, we're talking about Advanced Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay.
I mean, nobody's talking about. I mean, when
sorry,
no. What I mean is, no, I know I caught
Joe's
that.
watching this going.
When people say AD&D, I don't think they're talking about Advanced Dungeons.
Sure.
They're talking about Advanced Dungeons and Dragons.
I'm a noob to Axe. I honestly, I had never even heard of it until about a month ago. Roger and I were talking about different systems. If we ever switch off from CNC, what do we want to go to next? And I've got a shelf of books. I'm like, we should run this one or this one or this one. And he was like, think about Axe. And I was like, AXE? What are you talking about? What's Axe? And he was like, oh, it's this. He started telling me about it. And I was like, wow, that sounds really good. And I looked at the website and, Roger mentioned the price point. I got to be honest. I'm like, I spent $80 on Joe Block's AD&D, and now I'm looking at another 140 on Axe, to complete it. Because if I'm going to get one, I'm going to get the whole thing.
I get it.
And then I'm like, oh, man.
Yeah.
But saying that, though, if next Sunday we sat down and Roger said, this is our last week of CNC. Next week, we're going to start doing Axe. I'd be like, cool, no problem. Order it. It looks incredible. And it's one of those systems that when people talk about it, no one ever says, I don't know, it's okay. They're like, it's freaking amazing, dude. You should check it out.
Yeah. But the main issue is
CNC is good too.
Is the cognitive load. Even for the players, because one of the things that I did whenever there's a game with a ton of rules like that, whether even just like third edition D&D level of rules, I will be like, okay, well, if you want to do a particular thing, you have to come to me with the rule. I'm not going to have responsibility for memorizing every obscure bonus for this particular thing or whatever. So they need to come to me with, on page 284, it says blah, 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 blah. This is what I'm going to do. And in Acts 2, that was fine until they got to be about 5th level. And then they wanted to start doing things like magical research and trading bulk commodities and doing all these kind of things. I'm like, okay, well, bring me the rule. And they're spending all this time themselves trying to figure out this rule. And I'm like, okay, well, that would have been me if I hadn't had my policy. So I'm glad that that's the case. But if you want to do this, you have to bring it to me. And it just kind of started burning them out in terms of how much they had to do.
Yep.
And
been there, done that.
Yeah. I think of it, I lived through Nintendo hard. I know what it's like to have video games that are so hard that the average person just cannot do it. And there's some role-playing games that are just not for the mass market consumer. They're for a niche of hardcore guys, and that they want to run Acts 2. And so, maybe at some point in the future, I played Acts 2 for over 9 months campaign, all the way up to I think 7th level. It was very good. If it came back around and I wanted to run it again, or my game group has rotating guys all the time. Somebody else came to me and said, hey, I want to run this Acts. I'm totally on board with it. I'm usually the person who's able to put the most investment into learning and doing the thing. So it's very rare that I'm going, well, I don't want to read that. I don't want to learn that. It's, I'm the most hardcore of all those guys. I'll say it right to their face. I'm better.
Yeah.
I have no idea what that's like.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Then that's like the thing with X2. I would definitely do something like that where, I would say, okay, if you guys want to do something, it's on you. Here's the stuff. You know what I mean? And you
bring me the rule. That's all.
And the issue with my current group with doing that is like Jason would do it, and maybe one other player would do it, and then which is fine. I mean, some characters, some players want to play the fighter. They want to go in, they want to roll their d20, and they just want to smash, and that's all they want to do. And then at the end of the session, they want to walk out and completely forget about their character until the next week. And then like Jason's the one where he's like on the phone with me during the week, like, so I'm building a castle and I need this kind of brick, and like we're on the east side of the island, and I know that the sun travels, like and I'm like, listen,
I need
dude,
to build a wall facing this way to break the wind because I don't want to damage my orchard.
I'm like, dude, you're like, and
he's like, just build it, man. I don't care.
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, build it. Like, he's way over like what I want to deal with. Like, I'm like, yeah, dude, draw me a picture. I'll, whatever. We'll figure out how much it costs. I don't, and that's it. And so yeah, I mean the buy-in and all of that. I mean, if I like you said, like, if I as the GM had to try and adjudicate and like look up all those rules, and every time somebody said, I want to do this thing, oh my God, forget it. I mean, I don't think anybody could do that. A Macris could do it probably, but it's like you had mentioned with the cognitive load, it's too
one
much.
thing to do it for 3 weeks. It's another thing to do it for 9 months.
Yeah.
Or 2 years or whatever you're going to run. I mean, it's a lot. And having a game like OSE makes it so that when I'm running Gods of Forbidden North, I can focus a lot more on the actual content rather than the game rules are kicking in all the time. I just know. And a lot of times I'll just be like, give me a strength check. And I don't care how it works in the book. Give me a strength check. Done. We'll move on.
Yeah. Yeah. And I keep threatening my players with, like, hey, I want to just hand all this stuff off to you guys, so eventually I don't have anything to do. They can roll the random terrain, they can roll the random encounters, they can roll the random dungeons. I don't have to do anything.
There's a lot of people who are running games on Discord like that, where downtime they're having the players do a ton of stuff, and then when they actually run the game, there's very little for the GM to run.
I try and do downtime in actual downtime, because I don't want players showing up to shop or whatever. It's usually like a hand wave thing if they do, and I try and get them to tell me where they want to go ahead of time and all of that, and I'm not that hard on them, but so usually they wait till the day of to tell me what's going on. But
I get that out of my guys at the end of the session. I'm like, where are we going next time? And
and
like,
that's
we're
fantastic.
gonna go do this, and I'm like, okay, cool.
And I should do that. I should lock the door until they tell me where you're going next week. Nobody goes home.
Yeah,
but the problem with that, with our group, is you would get 2 people saying, I don't know, whatever, I don't care, and then myself and one other player would be going, where do we want to go? And so then we would decide. It's.
Well, then the other ones would have to learn to
That's right.
chime in, and that happens a lot.
Or
like
follow either way.
When I not my current game, but my previous games, I had more players. I got 5 regulars now, and a couple, ones that'll float in every once in a while. But the previous game was very player driven as far as like their characters were a big part of like what was going on, and the guys that like fed me the most stuff, like they would talk to me in between sessions about, I'd really like to do this, or I'd really like to do that. That's the shit that got done, because I was like, that's what you really want to do. And the entire group was really good about going along with, like, they never felt like, we're being overshadowed by this guy. Cause they all individually got their spotlight, like where the what they were doing was really about their character. And some of it was more in depth than others, but that was just because of participation and stuff.
That happens in everything. That happens at work. Like there'll be a guy on a team, and he's the most energetic guy about getting one thing done a particular way, and that's what happens.
Yep.
That's human leadership, I guess.
Yeah. So you've done a lot of you've done Dark Sun. You're talking about doing El Qadim. What are you planning on going through all of like the older
I
kind of
don't know that
settings or?
to say that I have a plan is way more than I want to. What it is I have an inability to accept things the way they are. So when I want to run, I go, okay, I want to run a Skyrim game. And then I look at the official Skyrim products and I go, I don't want to do that. I'm going to just make it all up for myself. And then I'll go and do that. And same thing with Dark Sun, same with whatever. So it's not like I'm not saying that they're bad stewards of the brand or anything. They just don't make what I want to do. You know?
Yeah.
I'll say
if the only way I can play Skyrim is to have dice or stuff that's weird, that I'm gonna have to come up with these weird mechanics that work that board gamers like or whatever. I'm like, I'm not a board game. I don't want to play it like this. I like board games just fine, but I don't want every game to have weird dice and all kinds of weird functions. And there's a certain amount of consistency as a virtue of I can take this same mechanic and I can run it in Al Qadim and I can run it in Dark Sun. I can run it in whatever.
Yeah.
This is the mechanic that I like. And that's how I feel. Like I would love to have a game that did Lord of the Rings the way I like it to work, but I don't know that One Ring has things that I like and it has things that I don't like. That's why I started modding video games, because I play video games and I go, I don't like how this works. I'm going to change this. That I'm just unable to accept things the way that the other guy made it. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to do it my way. And I feel that way about BattleTech. I feel that way about Star Wars. I feel that way about all kinds of things. I just, I want to have control over it. I want it to work the way that I want it to work. And one day, if I'm like, I really want to run Curse of Strahd the way I want to run it, then I'll write something that's similar to that. I'm sure it'll be light years ahead of Curse of Strahd.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's just how I feel.
Were you a VTM player back in the day?
I played a good bit of VTM in at the table. Not as much as I played D&D, but I did play. But the most VTM I ever played was in video games. Vampire the Masquerade and then Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines on PC. Okay. It's fantastic games. Bloodlines being on par with like Fallout New Vegas in terms of just being a fantastic game that you could just go through multiple times and really get great value out of. And it's kind of like, at this point, I've played more hours of Skyrim than I've ever played hours of D&D, just because I can do it by myself whenever I want, whatever, like that kind of thing. Sure. So it runs out to, I've had so much experience in VTM digitally that it's hard for me to even separate at this point what I like about VTM at the table versus VTM in the video game. I like the setting. I like the ideas. I like the places. I like the people. I like the character. So when I wanted to do something like that, I'm like, I certainly don't want to do it with a mechanical system that I don't like. So I would use Shadowdark for it. And I didn't even come into Shadow City using Shadowdark per se for the system. It was a way of generating the city that was the thing that I actually came up with first. So there was like a period of 3 days where it occurred to me that I could use Kelsey's random way of making a dungeon. And I had just been doing the GM companion for Shadowdark, where I was spending huge amounts of time trying to think of how to think of as many possible things to put on these charts to make districts. Yeah, awesome. Great to see in the flesh. To make districts for these cities. How many shops could I come up with on a list in order to be in the market district? How many shops could I come up with for a temple district? Whatever. The things to put into these places. And like it just occurred to me. I was like, you could make a modern city using this same mechanical system.
Yeah.
And then I spent like 3 days where I had trouble sleeping because I would lay down at night to go to bed and my brain would be like, well, what about this? What about this? What about this? What about this? What about, and it would just, it was relentless. And then I said to people, like, I started writing Shadow City so that would stop. You know, like I can't go every night where I'm just endlessly thinking of ways I could make this mechanic work in a modern place. So I started from that end first, and the mechanics of the game adapted over from Shadow Dark were just to make that part of the game work. You know, like the actual mapping, actually creating the city in a dynamic way that was different every time, that would be compelling and feel like a real place. And then I said, well, how am I going to make a game that works in that thing I just made? And so it was almost like the wrong way of making a game. Like it's inverted from the normal process. Yeah.
Well, the city and what's going on in the city, I think that's an important part of VTM. So, I mean, that's, you know, I was just curious. I never really got into it. I had friends that played it and I had considered playing it, but they they were LARPing, and doing the whole thing, and like the trench coats and the sunglasses and the whole.
I never did that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm out. Like I'm not doing that. I mean, they were like, they all had their own factions and stuff, and they're like writing letters to each other and like trying to forge alliances. And I mean, and I'm like, no.
I'm laughing because
I'm like, you guys are nerds, right? Like
Sunday night when we were playing, we were sitting at the table and Joe made a comment about somebody being weird, and we all looked at Joe and we were like, really? This table's kind of weird. But then Ken looks at me and he goes, yeah, but vampire players, and we both went, they're weird.
Yeah.
I said during the Shadow City kind of promotional tour that I did, I think the biggest barrier to the whole setting is the people that are most interested in the setting. And I don't know how to reconcile that. And I would say, like, look, my pitch to you is,
you can't.
Yeah, if you like Shadow Dark and or you like any kind of just stripped down D&D core system, which is all Shadow Dark is D&D core with a few subsystems added on.
Sure.
The subsystems that annoy Greg Gillespie, for instance, are why he doesn't consider it to be an OSR game. But I don't really think that those subsystems make it into not an OSR game. We can have that difference of opinion, doesn't matter. But it's totally different from storyteller system in Vampire. And so, like, if you like running games like that, and you like the idea of dungeon crawling the city, so where the districts, and I probably should have said this a second ago, like, so the way that the random generation thing works is it creates all these neighborhoods, and then within those neighborhoods you drop these locations that you then build out as essentially dungeons, and using a dynamic system that requires almost nothing of the GM. So you need a 40-story building, poof, it's done. It's right here, right? And so to be able to make all that stuff then allows you to run it like a D&D game, where we're going to go into this neighborhood and we're going to take over this tower, and it's going to become our territory now, and we're going to drive out those guys. So it's not like, let me talk to you about my feelings about the tower and how it reminds me of my mortality and this and no, this is my territory and I'm going to kill you. Like that. That's the kind of game it is. And it's very different from VTM in that respect. They both take place in the same world, just like, what's it called? The story game that's in the powered by the what is it? Apocalypse World, right? There you go.
Apocalypse World. Yeah.
Apocalypse World and Fallout take place in roughly the same world. They're not the same game, right?
Yeah,
so I wanted to be like, I don't like that this world is gatekept by one game that I don't like mechanically that much. It's not horrid. There's so many other better ways of doing it to me. So I would just do it that way, And I tried to make that pitch to people. It was moderately successful. I think it did okay, but I do think it's held back by people's perspective of VTM.
Well, I think you've got the hardcore VTM players, and they're kind of fixed, set in their ways or whatever. And I mean, in the same way that you've got the hardcore D&D people that are 5e or 2024 or whatever, and they're like, this is there's nothing else, nothing else exists out of that, but they won't even entertain it, but yeah, it's it makes me want to run a vampire game, Shadow City.
Oh, that's good. That's great.
So and especially like the city generation thing and everything, it's really cool. And I like, and I don't know,
Gary Lewis is on me to make a Red Dead Redemption adaptation of the same thing. So you use the same method. Instead of generating neighborhoods, you generate like basically provinces out west. So you have like a Colorado type province, and you have kind of a Texas type province. You have like an Arizona, whatever. And it's just a lot of work, man. It's a lot of work.
Well, if you do a
Jason's
Red Dead
already
type,
pre-ordering it. So
yes, if you do a Red Dead type and you put West Elizabeth out there, I am never going to leave West Elizabeth. So I'll just be hanging out in Valentine the whole time. It'll be fine.
I love it. I love that spot behind Valentine where you go down in the canyon and you chase the charlatan guy through the canyon along those little paths, like such a beautiful place. Oh my God. Like, oh man.
I will have, especially when I worked construction, I would come home and I would just be exhausted and annoyed, and I would be hurting from doing it all day. I would fire up Red Dead and I would go into West Elizabeth, where there's that huge valley with the stream flowing through where there's elk and there's all kinds of animals out there. And I would just set up my camp, hunt, kill an elk, cook my elk, get my 3 pieces of meat, drink coffee. And I'm just in the best mood. And I'd be like, everything is fine now because I'm a cowboy out here drinking coffee. And, it's, when the sun sets, the stars come out and I'm just like, what a game.
Amazing. Yeah.
Man.
Well, yeah, Greg, I think that one would sell if you make that. So.
But going back to the vampire, I've forgotten the name of this. The
Shadow City.
Thank you, Shadow City. Something like that. Remember because you're a video gamer. Remember the Thief video games?
Yeah.
Something like that. If
somebody mentioned that in the chat earlier too.
Yeah,
cool. I blocked the chat because it kept pulling my eyes over there, so I can't see what anybody's saying. But if you used to like you got a couple of players that aren't going to play this weekend, but you've got one guy, you could do a solo and have him be the thief, have him be Geralt, and you could use the city generator like that, and just have him going through the city doing things. Oh man, I'm a huge fan of the Thief series, even the newest one, the Eidos or Square Enix that came out a while ago. I just think that's great, and so having a dark city generator like that would be very, very handy for something like that.
The node maps of the sites would be like, you can almost run that at the moment of creation. So like they walk into a new node and you roll 3 dice and you're like, this is what's in that node. Like you don't even need to know as the GM. Like you pull it up. Okay. It's going to be 3 gang members. We're going to roll off of a table. They're Australians. So they're like a special Australian gang, and they've got this. And we go immediately. I always use Australia as an example because it's what we rolled in the playtest. And so I had a whole Australian gang, like Grand Theft Auto style gang with Australians. It was awesome. So yeah, it can happen. It can happen. You can just roll it and it just paths off the nodes however they go. If he's like, I'm going to go this way and get in that elevator, then the elevator takes you here.
Cool.
You run it dynamically.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think I've got the PDF for Shadow City, and I think I'm going to order the hardcover and really take it to bed with me and read it and maybe run it. We'll see. What? Why are you looking at me like that?
Keep it clean, Roger. Keep it clean. Taking these books to bed.
I mean, to read it at night. What do you do to your books in bed? I don't know. Jeez.
I usually fall asleep and drool on it.
I have, so I bought, obviously saw the GM companion there. I did buy Shadow Sun because I've always been interested in Dark Sun, and I think this will make me finally want to run it. Back in the day, I just couldn't find the group to play it. But I do have
it's a very rough setting.
Yeah.
So
I do have the Shadowrun book.
Well, with all of it started with, I feel the same way about Al-Qadim. It started with Dark Sun for me, is realizing that there's absolutely no way that they could touch the setting again and not ruin it completely.
Right.
Like,
oh, sure.
As bad as what they did with 4E to Dark Sun, whatever they do now will just be it'll make worse. 4E. It'll make a 4E OSR for Dark Sun. It's crazy.
Yeah. So it's gonna be a fantasy game in the desert. Like, I don't think they can't do anything else.
Yeah, so I just wanted to. I remember in the early days of Shadow Sun, things fade over time in popularity sense, but there were a bunch of people posting in the Shadow Dark Facebook group about using the Shadow Sun mechanics to just run Dark Sun modules, and they just run them. And they were using the same graphics on the VTT or the same monsters. They're like, we just use the monster value from Shadow Sun. Yeah. Because at least it won't be controlled by people who hate it.
Yes.
The people who wrote it are gone, and the people who are left hate what was made. So let's just take it back. It belongs to us in a moral sense, in my opinion.
Sure.
I'll do what I can to not violate copyrights and to be legal and all that stuff. But in a moral sense, I feel like Dark Sun belongs to us, not them. And anything that you publish with a sticker on that says it's possibly dangerous for people to have, I don't think you should get copyright power over that anymore.
Yeah, you shouldn't be producing
that. Okay, well, you just gave it away then.
Right.
Because why should you profit from something that you think is evil or immoral or whatever? Like, just let it go.
Put it in the public domain. Yeah, sure, absolutely. I agree, but shareholders have a different opinion than that.
Well, they'll never do it. Yeah.
Right. So that I may run a Dark Sun game. Of course, we've talked about this stuff before in private and on the channel. Obviously, I back a lot of stuff. I got a ton of books. Jason's got a ton of books. Stan keeps getting stuff in the mail.
Yeah,
Stan has his original first edition collection. That's badass, dude.
It starts. You end up. I've started to count like the time that I've got like left to actually run games, and then you start doing the math and dividing that by the number of games that you want to run, and So, but I would definitely love to run like a Dark Sun campaign, and I consider doing it, using like first edition or something. But I think going with Shadow Sun is definitely the way to go. I wouldn't even consider running it in anything else, I think, at this point.
Yeah, I have a bunch of old Shadow Sun stuff, but Dark Sun stuff, but I've never run it. I just collected it because I liked it, and I'd love to run it.
A lot of the Dark Sun stuff that exists is very structured in like a cinematic or dramatic way, where you're not really doing what you think of as traditional D&D. You're kind of moving from scene to scene.
Yeah.
And that was one of the problems that I had when I was adapting things, is how would you actually run this with ironically, with freedom to move, to leave whatever the thing is. And Shadow Sun is one of the things that I'm at the position where My books have been successful enough that I can finance almost anything that I want to do. That's not really true for a long time. Like a lot of times you might be like, I want to write a Red Dead Redemption game, but I can't afford, I'd have to commission tons of art because there's just not stock art for doing that. There's just use some public domain stuff, but that's only going to get you so far. You need stuff that looks like real role-playing game art. And that costs a lot of money. The same thing for like sci-fi. It's very expensive to make a sci-fi game relative to a medieval fantasy game just because of the cost and availability of stock art. That's pure and simple. I'm past that point now. There's a certain analysis paralysis to that because now I go, okay, well, I can really do, I'm not constrained by, I can only do these 3-4 things that I've thought. I could do 20 different things. So I'm kind of in a period where I'm reevaluating a lot of stuff. One of the things that I want to do is go back through games like Shadowsun and Shadowrun and make invest more in the maps and the art, build out things that I didn't build out before just due to time constraints. Or I've learned a lot in the past 3 years from doing all this stuff. Every writer is a continuously evolving person that gets, I figured out 2 years later after I wrote this book, this thing, I'm going to go back and put that thing into the book I wrote 2 years ago. So stuff like that. For a while, I thought maybe I'll do kind of like Zines, like the way Kelsey does the Cursed Scrolls. But I got really close to a Shadowsun Zine #1, so to speak. And I just realized there were so many things I wanted to change about the base game rather than adding this thing. So it would be like, well, I should really invest in improving the base game as a whole rather than adding on planks to something that I'm unhappy with in certain sense at the base level. And the things that I'm upset with, a lot of people might go, well, I don't even really think that's a big deal, but it's a thing to me. So like when I'm writing, I'm like, I can't do this because the original works this way and this would work that way, and I don't want it to be. So it's just kind of like there's all these things going on in my head. And I'm sure that that's contributed to why I made so many YouTube videos. As I'm trying to sort it out in my own head, like, what should this next product be? I don't want it to be Curse of Strahd, I don't want it to. I don't want it to have these problems. I'd love for it to be as really creative and imaginative as Destroyer of Worlds, but not fall into the traps that Destroyer of Worlds falls into. So a lot of these videos is me working those things out. The psionics is not one of the. I'm actually very happy with the psionics in Shadowsun, because to me, I've always thought of psionics as working like the Force. I just love the Force. The Force is awesome. And to be able to have a guy who at first level, he can kind of lift things up a little bit, and then he starts to be able to lift bigger things and do more damage until eventually he's force choking somebody to death. Or the same thing with electricity turning into force lightning, or the same thing with pushing and defensive abilities, whatever, like building it up as prerequisites. That's why in Shadowsun, psionics is the only thing that works on prerequisites, unlike magic, which is kind of each spell is its own thing. It's not based on any prior spell. But I feel like psionics would be like that. It's almost like a physical skill that I'm getting better at moving things with my mind. So it's going to be moving down like a prerequisite path. So there's all kinds of things that I want to improve. Monsters that I could never have found stock art to adequately represent in Shadowsun that I can now afford to just make custom art for, and I could put them in from Darksun, or bring in monsters from non-Darksun universes that I just feel would work in Darksun. There's a lot of, this might hurt my soul to say, there's ideas that Wizards of the Coast has developed that are good,
Oof.
but not in how they did it. Right?
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
they came up with a monster that was really good as a concept for a monster, and then they fucked it up in implementing. So I would be like, okay, I can take this idea and I can put it in something else. And sometimes there actually is stock art for these kind of monsters. And I can be like, no, it doesn't work at all like what Wizards of the Coast did. This is the correct way to use this monster, right? There's things like that I want to incorporate that I just couldn't afford to do 3 years ago. You know, art is expensive. It's very expensive. And it's not just expensive in terms of money, but in time. Like you have to know 3 months, 4 months in advance that you want a particular thing. I mean, think about how far in advance you have to know that you want a map in order to commission that map and line up the delivery of that map with the print product coming in. Like those are not immaterial concerns. Like those are serious problems. Yeah. If I commissioned a map today at Gods of the Forbidden North quality level, right? Yeah. And I commissioned it today, it would probably be 3 months before the artist even started working on it, because the people at that level have a huge log of work that they're already working on. So I'd have to put that order in now, wait 3 months for them to even start working on it, and then it won't even be ready for 2-3 months after that. So like, it's very difficult to predict what you're going to want to do in 6 months anyway, just much less in terms of where your creative energy is going to be in 6 months. That's extremely hard to predict. Things move so slow once you're at this level. It's Brad trying to bleed us dry. No, the artist, it's not the artist's fault. It's just a constraint of reality. You know, just like if I wanted to go on a trip to the Great Wall of China, I can't make that decision today and implement it tomorrow. Like there's a lead time. I would have to get visas. I would have to buy tickets. There'd be arrangements to be made. Like you can't just turn the world on a dime. That's nobody's fault. That's just reality.
So it sounds like Shadow Sun 1.5 might be
something like maybe it'd be Shadow Sun Advanced. I don't know. I haven't even gotten that far. It's just my brain is bombarded by stuff like that, like what I do, and I say analysis paralysis. It's that kind of thing. It's very expensive. Agile is right. 30. That's on par.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
And unfortunately, a lot of role-playing game producers, I guess is the term I would say, they're producing things to basically break even at launch. And then they're going to make up for everything on the back end, right? So if they have I'm sure there's people who've brought in $100,000 Kickstarters who've cleared less than $2,000 in profit, because 98% of the costs is sucked up by print, ship, art, everything like that. And I don't want this to be a job that sucks. So I try to structure things so that it's actually rewarding in the long run. And that's why the stuff that I've made, my cost basis for those products is very, very low. And so when I sell a unit, it's enormously profit centered, where I'm not making 10 cents a copy, whereas if I had put in all of this money, I'm not going to use AI. I hate AI. But I'm not going to put in a whole bunch of money so that I can break even on a thing and I just don't understand why people would do that. It hurts. I don't need this to survive, but if I did, it would really suck that the expectation was you're going to just break even and make no profit whatsoever for a long period of time. I hate that about it, but it's because people are competing to have that book that looks good on the shelf like Curse of Strahd. And I want the book that looks good in Notepad. And if it looks great as in layout, that's a plus. But the bare minimum is it has to look good in Notepad.
Yeah, I mean, I love having a book that looks fantastic on the shelf, but I mean, it's got to be usable at the table. I mean, it's got to, you know.
Well, everybody in our hobby has books on their shelf. There are probably books that are visible in the background of your camera feeds right now that you feel, if somebody said, what do you think about it? You'd be like, I wish I never got that. It was the money that I spent on this book was not worth the return. Yeah, look at Jason's smile. Yeah,
Roger. Roger and I are thinking of the exact same book. I guarantee you.
It's a big deal. It happens all the time. Yeah.
Yep. Guarantee you.
And it's almost like trying to figure out whether somebody's scamming you or something, like when you're making these evaluations, and that sucks. I wish it wasn't the case. I made a video about that where I was like, this is why most role-playing game products are not that good, is because they're being designed for things that are not how they play at your table.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they play good at your table, that's like a bonus to the person who made the book. The main reason why they made the book is to look good and be read by people like an entertainment novel, so that they can move units to hobbyists who have no intention of even playing it, but they just want to buy it and put it on their shelf and flip through it every once in a while. And there's two masters there. There's a actual using the object, and then there's like a beauty value of putting the object on your shelf. And unfortunately, a lot of times the usability it loses in that fight.
Sure. I mean, I would rather have something that's usable at the game table, but I'm a gamer. I mean, I think there's a lot of people out there that are, you know, quote unquote, you know, gamers or whatever, and you know, they don't run a weekly game. They don't, you know, they play, you know, every now and again. So they'd rather have something, you know, like a 5e book that looks pretty or whatever, you know, on the shelf than something else. Yeah, or whatever. So these guys probably want to talk about
yes.
About this game here a little bit.
Hit me. What do you want to know?
This is fantastic, Greg. And I'm now, just so everybody knows out there, I'm not a Skyrim guy. I've got a grand total of about 15 minutes in Skyrim. I'll probably get booed off for this, but like I had issues with it when I played it. I won't get into that here. I know Jason and I have had conversations. No, just stuff that happened when I tried to play. Well, later. That's not a story for the world.
Different stream.
Because they'll all yell at me about it too. But reading through Shadowrim, I think that Greg, I think you did a fantastic job with it. Really,
yeah.
Thank you.
With the different signs and everything, and it kind of being classless. I don't know if you consider it classless. It sort of is, but I mean the signs are sort of the class, I guess. At least to me, maybe it's not that way in the game, and I'm completely misspeaking here. But
you're right. You're right, because they can change. So unlike,
right?
I mean, how many D&D discussions are about multi-classing? Holy shit! But Shadowrim is designed basically so that at every level, if you wanted, you could get your level up, immediately go to a different shrine, to a different star sign, and make a sacrifice and switch over to the other side. Like,
yeah,
you could do it every level. I mean, it would be costly. You'd be pouring a lot of money into sacrifices to the gods, but you could do it. So there's no hard limitation except for your own inability to part with coin. So if you're about to hit third level and you don't want to be in your sign anymore, you want to be over here, just drop the money on making a sacrifice and you're there. So there's no class limitation in that sense.
Yeah. No, it's really neat, and I like how you have the statues. Are they the runestones? I guess in the random encounters.
Yes.
So they're not fixed on the map.
They could become so if the GM wants, but
right,
if the GM
and that's how I
doesn't
would do it.
They'll disappear. Yeah,
that's how I would do it. Is if they randomly showed up, that's where it is now.
Yeah, I would
which
say
is cool.
It's kind of like I don't know, maybe 13th Warrior might be the closest thing of like things in the mist, right? So like you're in the mist, you find this stone, and you get some magical power, and then when you walk away, like it's no longer there. Like it's something that's gone. I don't know. I had to unfortunately watch a lot of that Brave movie that from Pixar with my daughter. Similar idea in that movie as well. The stones only appear when certain conditions are met or whatever. Yeah, that kind of thing.
Yeah. No, it's neat. I mean, I think I would have them there permanently, and then they can get back to it or whatever. But it is really neat that all that stuff is in there, where it's not just random encounters, just random monsters. That there's
a ton of the encounters are non-combat.
Right, just non-combat stuff, which is great. But I really like the layout, like the everything. Obviously, a lot of the layout comes from the Shadow Dark. Obviously, it's emulated from that. But I think it's really great. I love that you've got all the different campaign starts in there, the ideas, and I know some of these I recognize as coming from the game. They're probably all from the game. I'm just not.
A lot of things that might be like, there might be something from the game, but it's implemented in a different, like there are people who get shipwrecked on the coast in the game. I think there's 2 different NPCs, but that's not a player start. But I was like,
sure.
I actually love having shipwreck starts in my games. I think it's a great way, because a huge hurdle of introducing people into a campaign is, how did you get into this? It's like, if you start a new campaign in Neverwinter, the amount of stuff that your character would have to know in order to have even gotten to Neverwinter is way crazy high for a brand new player who's never even heard of Neverwinter, never played the video games, never played Forgotten Realms, anything. So a shipwreck start cuts through all that crap. Okay, but this is the way it is. You don't know anything about that city. You don't know anything about the place where you are. You're in a totally random new place.
I love the random alchemical stuff too. That's fantastic.
I've got that's a lot of that's from the game. But in the game, everything is fixed. So once you know that vampire dust has these
invisibility
4 properties, that's why I brought it up. Once you know these are the things that make the invisibility potions, you can just go right for those things. And I
need a lot of giant toes.
I didn't do this until late in my playing of Skyrim, but I'm at the point now where I'll have the wiki up, tabbed out, and I'll just tab over and I'll be like, what do these ingredients work together? I'll just be clicking back and forth between the wiki.
Yep.
Because you have to unlock it in the video game by doing it correctly the first time. So there's like a period where you're just trying to match everything as much as possible just to get the list of all the possible things you could do. And at a certain point, you reach this with every game, right? There's a first moment when you're playing Red Dead and you come up and you take the wagon across the ford next to the huge waterfall at the beginning, in the very beginning. You can't get that feeling back. It's gone, right? As soon as
before the wheel falls off.
Yeah, exactly.
I know exactly what you're talking
about. And then there's a point where you reach where I know that waterfall, if I just look right down at the base, there's an event where there's going to be a woman that tries to kill the guy that she's with down there.
Hey, spoilers.
Yeah. And should I check that now, or should I wait until after I complete this other mission and that will unlock that interaction with that woman? You reach a point where you know the game so well, you can't. It's almost like you're enjoying it still, but you're also not. It's lost. Having it be randomized makes it so that every time it's that same thing. You don't know what that hawk egg is going to do. You don't know what the vampire dust is going to do. It's brand new every time. And that's the great thing about tabletop is how many games could you play in Dark Sun, Al-Qadim, Forgotten Realms, whatever, and it be brand new every single time. That's what is great about role-playing games. So I made the alchemy stuff random for that reason. Like, so you never know. And I changed the experimentation methods so that to get all 4 unlocks for any particular ingredient, you got to really be dedicated. I mean, you probably have to be level 4 or 5 before you could do that, because you would have to gather so much of it and make so. But every time you do an experiment, it's like that. Like, what's going to happen? What does this thing do? You know, it's fresh.
Yeah. It's really neat, and I mean, I really like it. Like I said, I really didn't play the game. I mean, obviously, I can see, where it comes from, but all that stuff is genius. Like, I don't know if you're the first one to come up with that, to like have it, this exploration like that kind of.
There's aspects of it I think that I invent. I mean, we all stand on the shoulders of giants.
Sure.
But I think combining, I don't think anybody else has adapted the 4 tiers of experimentation in the way that I have, and so
I've never seen it.
Yeah,
and I've seriously looked.
Yeah, and in the live plays that I've been doing, in the first one, they found magic items, and I just said just roll them up randomly on the spot, and people love that, man. They just, what does this helmet do? Here's what it does. There's a certain dynamism to that people really enjoy.
When you run it, do you run it as it's a video game, as if it was like a video game, or do you run it like, do
Sometimes
NPCs
I do, just to make, like, if you watch the live play, there's a couple of times where I kind of like those memes, is like video game logic. Like there's a guy, you're standing 10 feet away and you crouch, and all of a sudden he can't find you. Like that kind of thing. Like, I threw a few things in there like that just for kind of comedic effect of, every time that they shoot at some guy, they hit him in the knee, things like that. Like, I just did that for, it's a live play. It's fun. Like, let's just do it that way. But I think I kept enough of the places with enough of an homage that if you wanted to run it straight, like exactly like in Skyrim, you could. But there's a huge amount of different things in there so that it's not Skyrim. Like on the map of Skyrim, to the northwest of Solitude, out there in a place that I think is much lower visitation than a lot of other places in Skyrim. You're kind of on the northern edge of the province. There's a Draugr temple with Draugrs in it, that by the time you get there, Draugr are like not useless mons. Like, you just cut through them like grass. It's no problem. And so the dungeon doesn't feel like anything to me. I've been there a bunch of times. I can't even tell you. I could describe Bleak Falls Barrow down to the turns in the thing, but I couldn't tell you jack about that dungeon. So what I did was I said, when you get there, there's like a part of the architecture that's collapsed, and there's a boulder that's kind of blocking the way into the temple. And so if they come up and they see that and they do nothing and just walk away, no problem. If they move the boulder, there's like 2,000 Draugr on the other side of the door, and it just starts pouring out, right? Nobody's going to expect that, having played Skyrim. That doesn't happen in Skyrim. Mm-hmm. But it can happen in like James Raggi Lamentations of the Flame Princess kind of game. Like it can happen in a lot of D&D games. So all these Draugr start pouring out. the players can run away, but those Draugr are going to go and like pillage Dragon's Bridge. You know, they're going to attack everybody on the road. They're going to like take over everything. So like just touching that boulder radically alters the landscape. So I've tried to put things in there that will really surprise people who played a lot of Skyrim. And I've tried to put in also enough of a framework that somebody who loves Skyrim can just run it. I mean, like if I started people in Riften, I could accurately describe every single location all the way out through you know, dozens of miles, way out, because I just played it so many times. I know every single location.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few parts of the map where I don't know it by heart. And I incorporate that into it when I'm running it, but that's not required. There's, I think, 200 keyed hexes on the map plus whatever the settlement hexes are. And then there's like probably another 500 hexes that are empty on the map in that sense, but that the GM could fill with anything. You know, you could put, I mean, I'm sure everybody's familiar with a new hand touches the beacon, right? Everybody's found the beacon. They've taken it to the temple. They've unlocked the light. They've done the thing where you get to fly all the way up and see the whole province from like 1,000-foot height and go back down. That temple is in the game. There is a beacon in there. It doesn't work the way that it works in Skyrim, but it's there. But the GM could run that exactly the way it works in Skyrim, or they could run it in a totally improvised different way.
Yeah.
That's the Temple of Meridia.
Jobu there. I think that your daughter will be fine, right? If she plays Shadowdark and she's played Skyrim, I mean, I think that Shadowrim is probably just as easy to run as Shadowdark, maybe even easier, because there's not all the different classes. It just goes by the symbols there. But I don't know what are your thoughts on that, Greg?
Well, I don't think Shadowrim is too advanced for anyone.
Yeah. Especially somebody that's played it. That's played Shadowdark.
Yeah, and everything is in the book for Shadowrim that you really need to run, except for the kind of occasional rule checks that you might, if you forget how a particular thing works in Shadowdark and you want to go back and check exactly like how a reaction check works. I haven't had to look up how a reaction check works in 10 years, you know, so the fact that I don't have that rule in Shadowrim is no obstacle for me. But if somebody was brand new to using reaction checks, then they might have to occasionally check the Shadowdark book. But I don't even have the Shadowdark book out when I run it. I mean, I just don't need it. You can definitely kill Maven Blackbriar.
That's an ungrateful wench right there.
Yeah, I don't use her exact name, but I can actually look. I mean, like I use the name that's like close, so you know, like
so we know who we're talking to.
This is the estate, and there's a person there who's a bit of a asshole. Let me pull it up and see.
It's Baven Mac.
It's near the very back of the book, so like I'm going way back there. Let's see.
It's really
just the Briar family is what they're called.
Briar Estate.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. And this makes me want to run Shadowrim. I mean reading it, I was a little like, when I looked at it, I was okay, it's Skyrim. Like I'll get it because like I know Jason would play it, in a heartbeat. And I like looking at different things, and and Greg, everything of yours that I've looked at is just fantastic. So, I did look at it and was like, oh, this is, but then reading through it, I'm like, oh, this is great. I mean, I think I can run this easily, and there's nothing in here that makes me, want to feel like, oh, I should play through Skyrim and before I run it. I mean, there's enough stuff in here, I think, to just
And
pick
Roger
it up.
called me and the two of us talked for like an hour. He said, okay, so is it, about the class system. So I explained how it worked in Skyrim and, how you level up and how you get skill points and all that. And I was like, yeah, it's different, but what's in the book, this has the exact same flavor. This is Skyrim right here. So yeah, you won't get any pushback from me by playing, Shadowrim versus, it's going to be exactly like Skyrim, because I cannot claim to have 10,000 hours. I don't know if that was an exaggeration or not. I have maybe 3,500 hours. That is a frick ton.
It's so much. Yes.
Yes.
So much.
That is, and like, I have it on my Switch. I have it on every system it's ever been on. I have Skyrim on everything. So I know, just like you, like you're talking about the Temple of Meridian. I'm like, as soon as you said a new hand touches the beacon, boom, I can see it in my head. I know exactly what's
I can hear it. I can hear her say it. Yeah.
I can hear her voice. That's exactly right. And when, and Edgelord mentioned Maven, I can see her sitting in her chair and I just want to smack the crap out of her. And so I know all that, but I'm not playing Skyrim. I'm playing a character in the world of Skyrim. So if it's not exactly the same, I'm okay with that. I would just be thrilled to plop down and I haven't told any stories this cast, so now I get one. You talked about in Red Dead, crossing over that waterfall, and then the wheel falls off in the wagon, and that's part of the prologue. When I first got Skyrim, I got the midnight release at Best Buy. I was the first guy in line. I got the huge box with the dragon and all that. Took it home at midnight, and I'm sitting there. I took 2 weeks off. I took 2 weeks of leave.
Wow.
Because I'm a nut. And so, I think it's on 6 different discs because it was the old PC stuff. And they were on DVDs, not Blu-rays. And so I sat there all night uploading the game. And I think I finished uploading at like 4 o'clock in the morning. Start playing it. You're in Helgen. You're a prisoner. You get to Helgen. The dragon comes down. And then you run into, the tower or which side you're going to go with. Made it through. And you come out of the cave. And as soon as you come out of the cave, there's that vista. That those snow-capped mountains off in the distance, and I remember looking at it, and I was absolutely blown away by it. So I had to hit pause, ran to the bedroom, woke my wife up, and said, "You have to come see this." So she's like, "Oh," because she knows how I am. So she comes out, she looked at it, she was like, "Wow," and she's not a gamer. She does not care about that. I mean, I was almost in tears because I was sitting there and I was seeing what I had hoped I was going to see. And so I was just totally sucked into it. And like I said, man, 3,500 hours. And, Stan and I were talking about Skyrim last week and just going back and forth about, you got to check this. You got to check this. Yeah. 3,500 hours. And if I make a new character, which I did last week, and I start playing again, I will still find something new in that game because there is so much to find. So if I'm playing, Shadowrun, if I'm playing the RPG, and even if Roger doesn't narrate it perfectly, I will have it in my head. I know what these mountains look like. I know what Riften looks like. I know what Markoth looks like. I know what all these places look like, so I can see them. So the narration, whoever's DMing, it doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to be fluent enough with it to make it feel alive, and my head will do the rest. I'm good to go.
It's like watching a movie before you read the book. By doing that, you have all those characters in your head from watching the movie. So when you read the book, that's what you're imagining, like the same kind of thing. Like, you don't have to describe. Yeah.
That's someone mentioned the huge game manual. Here you go.
Yeah, I got one.
Sorry, go ahead, Greg.
See, this is the greatest advantage of being tabletop, is that you can actually kill every single Thalmor and drive them out of the province if you want.
Good.
You can't do that in the game. There's some of them that are just, you can't get into the embassy without the key, and you can't do this. I've had many playthroughs where I've just said, if I run into a Thalmor anywhere, I'll kill them. I don't care if if they're walking on the road on the way to Solitude. I don't
This
care.
is our prisoner.
Yeah,
Back away.
This is our prisoner. I don't care. I'll just shoot him right in the face. Kill him
That
right
guy's
there.
innocent.
It's like, that there's certain things you can do at the table that you can't do. You just can't do in a video game. As good as a video game is.
Yeah, we talked about that playing it, and the Thalmor came up, and I was like, well, I have one of my players. He's like a Skyrim guru. Like if I'm stuck on something, I'm like, hey, what's this? And he's like, oh, go do this, this, and this. And we were talking about like the different factions, and he's like, I never really get into that too much, and I'm like, I haven't either, but I've seen it. And we got talking, but when I got this, I really started like thinking, and like, oh, I want to do something with this. So I started this insane project of having my own Skyrim Bible. So like I'm going like on the wiki sites and I'm copying, pasting like all the info into a Google Doc so I can have it as a reference. And I mean, I did Riften and I did the gods and something else, and it's like 40 pages already, and I haven't even really put a dent in aesthetic. So it's nuts. But I'm like, I was talking to my friend about the Thalmor. I said, well, the Thalmor are going to be there because we just need to kill them whenever we possibly can. And he's like, yes, that's right. He's like, fuck those guys. So yeah,
even if I play a high elf, I'm still killing the Thalmor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, nobody likes it.
I had to call them high elf dominionists, but I think adding the administrative word kind of choice to it makes them even more evil. You know, who calls himself a dominionist? Gotta wipe those guys out.
Yeah, those guys need to die. Yeah, I think that's cool. Like I was really glad to hear Jason's perspective on it, because that's one of the concerns I had was like I think everything in here is like really cool, and like looking at the locations you've put in, and they're awesome. And I was like, well, how would that? Do I just add those? And because it's my home game, I don't care about copyright, so I can have Bleakfall Barrow and all that stuff. And part of me wants to do that because I have players that have played it, and I want them to have the experience of going to Bleakfall Barrow, or something like that. But it's also really great to have all these other locations because I don't have to always change things. Because if we go to Bleakfall Barrow, it's going to be slightly different because they got to be surprised, right? There's got to be some surprises. So I think that's really cool. But I do understand the value of like getting to experience places you've either only read about, or like for me, I played in my friend's game, and my favorite video game of all time is the first Baldur's Gate. And in his game, we got to go to Baldur's Gate, and that was just such a huge, and like explore that whole area, which I spent much similar to Skyrim, so many hours.
Did you meet the wise Alonso?
Oh, I don't know. Wise Alonso.
In Candlekeep in the beginning, where the monks are singing, they have some kind of song, and like every verse ends with the wise Alonso.
Oh,
it's like a chant that they have at the beginning. I've started a new game in Baldur's Gate so many times.
Trying to find
I think about that song.
Well,
it's so chanting in a church or something. Yeah,
we were on the march, and it was described to us that in the distance we could see, if you're familiar with that game, Durlag's Tower, and I was playing a dwarf, and I was like, oh, we need to go there. And everybody's like, dude, we got to go do this stuff. Like, what are you talking about? I'm like, no, we need to go there. We never got to do it in game. So when the campaign ended in my head, we were like 15th level. So eventually he led a party back there, and, I got to do that in my own head canon. But like, I was ready to derail the whole campaign and just go explore Durlag's Tower, But I think that's really cool and hearing Jason, who's, would be a player in something like this, and be like, well, it'd be cool to have, different thing too, because I think it's a kind of a fine line you can walk, like, because you want people to have that experience because they come into it like, I know Skyrim, I want to play in Skyrim, but you don't want them to know everything. Like, they got to be surprised.
Yeah, right.
Yep. I was going to say actually to Edgelord in the chat, like there's battle maps easily findable on Google or whatever of all of Bleak Falls Barrow, and not like a capture from the game, but like somebody did it for their Patreon or whatever. Like they actually did like a real D&D looking battle map for the whole thing. It's interesting when you look at it like that and you go, oh, that's not very realistic of a dungeon. Like it's changing climate zones like 4 or 5 times within a very short period of time. You're like, oh wow, that's weird. But yeah, it works. It's a great, very
that battle
evocative
map.
place.
That battle map you talk about. That's one of the great things about playing a game, that takes place in Skyrim, whether you call it Skyrim or not. It's 15 years old. Right now, there are thousands of people playing Skyrim on Steam. I guarantee you, if we ran the metrics, you would see thousands of people playing it. It is so popular, and so many of the people that love it so much are so creative that, just like you said, and it not just like the big ones like Bleak Falls Barrow. You can Google, the cave on Hex 1.02. There will be a map of that on Google. I guarantee you can find it.
Yeah. I
Every
used
inch.
it for the live play.
Yeah.
I used maps that were very like the first session was the cave. I forget the name of it off the top of my head. It's north of Solitude, where there's like a pirate ship inside the cave.
Yes.
And you go along the planks, and I picked it because it was such an evocative map, and the way that the players played it resulted in it being a huge long fight for like a 2-hour long fight, because I put little loot drops in the game because I wanted it to be like, there's a treasure item right here you could just pick up off of this crate. But they spent so much time picking stuff up that enemy reinforcements kept arriving, and they kept pulling more and more guys. So there you go, broken ore. That's probably it. Grotto, I think, is the last word in it.
Yes, broken ore grotto. That's correct.
Yeah, and the battle just kept going on because there was no separation between, because it's a huge cave. There was no separation between the monsters. So like bandits, monsters, whatever. But they could keep alerting each other to the problem and drawing in more reinforcements. And ended up being the longest battle I've ever fought in any Shadowdark game ever. It took forever because they just kept grabbing loot. They just kept picking up stuff, and so they were on the same initiative count for 2 hours because they just kept looting the place and triggering more guys would come into the fight. It was bizarre.
Yeah. That battle was very like stop and go. Like it was several small battles, I think in a row, kind of all connected. But I just want to know what happened to the guy that they manacled outside, and then they ran into the next time and they manacled him somewhere. Did they end up killing him, or is he still?
I am actually I'd have to pull that myself because this has been a brutal couple weeks for me at the day job. Just end of year crunch on some stuff, and I just don't remember off the top of my head. But I think that they took him with them back to town at the end of the session, but I can't remember exactly. The great thing about live play, unlike a regular game with your friends, is that you can go back and look at it, see what you did.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, by the way, I did want to say, I'll refresh it here just to be sure, but Shadowrim has been very close to platinum for a while, and platinum is 1,000 sales on drive-through. Shadow Sun and the GM companion and the player companion are above that level, but a couple of seconds ago it was at 999. It's still so 999 non-free units. It doesn't count like if I send a promo copy to somebody or whatever. So it's right on the line. So see it in your heart for Christmas. If you could buy yourself a copy of Shadowrun.
Buy it.
Jason, show him the back cover also.
My son loved the back cover. Like he thought it was awesome when I showed it to him.
And there's a link in the down below there. That's a link to Chubby Funster's store on drive-through. So you can buy it there. That's the link you sent me. Right, that goes right to your.
There's a link in drive-through. I'm simulcasting this on my channel. There's a link in that description as well.
Yeah, and hey, I'm because you mentioned the simulcast. I'm terrible at telling people to like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. So hey, everybody, like,
You're on
share,
mute.
subscribe. If you're on my channel, subscribe to Decato's channel, subscribe to Chubby's channel. And I mean, if you're on Chubby's channel and you like my content, subscribe to me. I'm not gonna, beg for people, but if you
Yeah.
want to see this face on Tuesdays for a few hours talking about our RPG stuff, hit the subscribe button.
I always forget to do marketing stuff. I'm terrible at marketing
Yep.
stuff. I have to like force myself to do, like, I was talking, I think it was with Joe the lawyer one time, and I was like, my 95% of my marketing strategy is remembering to say thank you to people. So like somebody says, "Hey, I like this," and I say, "Thank you for saying that. I appreciate it." Like, because I'm just an introverted nerd. I just forget to do that stuff. And Kelsey really made me aware of how important having that kind of positive, because even if you're thinking it, if you don't say it, if you don't put it out there, people don't realize, so it's like, I'm very grateful for all the support that people have given me, and for buying my stuff and all this stuff. I just get so into whatever the thing is. I'm thinking about the thing all the time.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not thinking about how can I sell this thing. I just wanted, like I said about the YouTube videos, like, I'm doing it for me almost. Like I wanted a game where I could play Skyrim, so I made that game.
Yeah, she's absolutely fantastic. We've ran into her and talked to her, at times, and couple times now, and she's just absolutely fantastic to talk to. She's a great person. Absolutely, she's always like bubbly. I don't know. She's always like super happy, excited. She loves to hear people, praise her stuff. She's always humble about it. It's fantastic. So, good. There's your,
there you go.
Hopefully,
Let's
you're
do a refresh.
platinum. I don't know how long it takes for that to update.
It takes time for their SQL server to update everything and push the badges and everything.
Yeah. Joe wants to know, if a person was going to buy Shadowsun and Shadowrim, what are the next best 1 or 2 books to also buy? I mean, this one's pretty good. Old School Game Mastering is pretty good, and the GM Companion for Shadow Dark is pretty good. And I don't know,
has been moving more units than anything else in terms of just raw sales, because I think people are using it outside of Shadow Dark's ecosystem, and they're using it to roll up random things for OSE dungeons, or
it's great for that. It's great for that. And that was one of the questions that I had for you originally, that I wrote down about the GM Companion, was if you made it for yourself. And you kind of answered that earlier and said that this is all your stuff is kind of made for you. So but yeah, it's good stuff. I'm a fan of like books with random tables and stuff in it, and
I've had a lot of people say, like, will you make tables for this, or will you make tables for that? Like, give me ideas for other stuff. But there's so many potential table ideas. At some point I had to go to print. But yeah, I think there's so much potential, because the table lets people. The real reason why people love tables is because making up something whole cloth is much more difficult than if I just give you 2 words.
Right.
You can go way further. You can go way further. And Brad, who said, Terra Invictus is one of my biggest, like, innovative products, because what it is it's designed to be run like a normal campaign. It has a map, it has hex descriptions, all that stuff, but there's an icon system in it that you can run solo play, and the icon system serves as like a processing stack in computer programming. So first you do this, and if you make the check, then you can read what's in the next paragraph, and then if you make that check, you can read what's in the next paragraph. So you can interact with it without a GM and go really far, much farther than you can with like just Shadow Dark and like an Oracle. It gives you a lot of stuff, and people have had fantastic feedback. There's Bradu has one solo play of him doing it on YouTube. Seeker was in the chat near the beginning. I don't know if he's still here. He's been doing some solo plays recently of it too. But like I said, it's not just for solo play. I've had people tell me, I think it was actually Bradu in one of the conversations recently, that recommending it for a new GM because that structure makes it so that a new GM doesn't have to make all these decisions. They can almost like they're running the solo play for you. They make this check, and then I'll read the next paragraph, and then you make this check, and I'll read the next paragraph. So I'm actually working on a dungeon version of that system. Terra Invictus is all hex crawling, but having it where like you go into a dungeon room and it has that kind of processing system that you go through, figuring out whether because here's the problem with solo play. Your guy walks into a room. Does he discover everything in the room just because you can read it? Right? Like that's the problem. So say having icons of like, you have to make an intelligence check against DC 15 in order to find this gemstone that was hidden in this plate. Having this check in order to see if you figure out that that's a trap before you step on it. Having this and those things there to remind you constantly to support your play. It supports solo play, and it also supports running it as a GM. I actually came up with the icon system just to organize the information better because this is a much beloved dungeon, but running Caverns of Thracia. I was running it with Axe 2 as part of my Axe 2 campaign. It was one of the dungeons I had dropped on the map that the guys could find it. They did find it. They went down in there. And so many rooms are described in the opposite order that you would describe them as a GM. So you would go, okay, so there's this, and there's this, and there's this. Oh, and by the way, there's a white standing 2 feet away from you. Like, why did we go through this whole description before?
Seems kind of important.
So you're trying to run it at the table in the moment, and you go to the description of the room, and you're scanning through all this stuff that is not as important as the freaking white that's right there.
Yeah.
So I was like, I want icons so that like you walk in the room, there's a monster icon, there's a freaking monster.
Yeah.
Like that's how it works.
So go right to the monster, and then it's fantastic.
And it was only after I started really putting all that in that I was like, oh, I could turn this into a solo play thing. Like I didn't design it that way. It's just it just evolved. And I was like, oh, it'll work. But that's another one of the things I'm talking about. Like layout innovation is not a trivial thing. Like being able to look at a page and get all the information you need out of it as fast as possible is important, right? It's its own technology, and our industry ignores that to its peril. I mean,
Sure.
Curse of Strahd is laid out to look beautiful, but the information that access is just fucking horrible. Like it is so hard to find what you need in the moment that you need it. And
I remember there was missing there's some missing information in there. I don't remember. Oh, I think it's the gem, or whatever. Yeah.
There's these 3 gems that supposedly make the fertility of the winery
vineyard grow or whatever. Right? Yeah.
And it tells you one of them is over here, and the other one was taken by this person is over here. And then it doesn't even say like you make up where the third one is. It just
it forgets to tell you. Yeah.
It's like, okay. So I offered some suggestions of like where to put it, but how could it boggles my mind that a company that makes as much money as they have as many, like if I make that mistake between me and two people that I asked to proofread the book, like, okay, I'm not making excuses for it, but it's an understandable mistake. To have a mistake like that in a book that was vetted by 80 people,
Right.
how does that happen? I don't know.
Yeah. No, we've had that we've had that discussion with like talking about Kickstarters and stuff where, they crowdsource like the editing and and the error checking and stuff.
Yep.
And then, then you get a book and it's got errors and stuff like that in it. And it's like that's one thing, and I mean, I'm not a fan of that. I don't think anybody is, right? But it's like pay an editor, pay some, whatever, make some sandwiches for somebody that's going to do it, whatever. But it's like, yeah, when you get a big company, it's harder to forgive that stuff, because it's like, yeah, like you said, it's not one guy that's working on it that put it out, and for his friends and stuff and looked at it and that's it. It's like this is an actual company that's supposed to be producing, high quality stuff, and and you mentioned it earlier. It's like their books are designed to look nice on a shelf, and if you pull down and you pull it down and you flip through it, you're like, oh, this is a cool book. It's great, and that's what you're supposed to do with them. I think you flip through them, you put them back on the shelf.
There was one of the video. I think it was like 7 or 9 in my Strahd series where there's one part where I could tell what instructions they gave to the freelancers, right? So like you could kind of tell in other places, but this was like a perfect instance where you could just really tell. So they told the freelancer, we want you to describe this location. They probably told them like it needs to be like a Baba Yaga's hut, right? Here's the description. And then they were like, you need to come up with one NPC to be nearby that they could talk to. You need to come up with one minor thing over here. I listed out like the 5, like you could just tell like this was like mass produced direction to freelancers. And I was like, that must be what they're doing, is that they're sending out, they have like 9 or 10 different freelancers, and they're like, here's your instructions for making this place, and here's your instructions for making this place. And that explains why they don't cross-pollinate, why one location has almost nothing pointing at the other locations, because it was written by 2 people who don't even know what the other person wrote.
Yeah.
And only the editor at the very end would have even had the potential for adding interconnectivity between the locations. And I'm not saying every book needs to be written by one person, but it needs to be captained by one person who really knows what the hell is going on between all these locations, or else it's just a series of things in silos that don't talk to each other. It's not a real world.
And especially like Curse of Strahd, like that needs to, because it's a small kind of area and it's it's a self-contained thing, and because you can't leave.
Yeah, right? You're not talking about hundreds of miles or
anything. Everything there needs to be a big cohesive thing, because with all the people that are there, they're they don't have souls, so they're like they're just kind of reborn, or like they go through the motions. So like I think everybody knows like everything, so there should be a bunch of interconnected. You would expect there to be.
They have a family of were-ravens. Were-ravens can fly. I don't know if I'm revealing any amazing facts here.
Yeah. Were-ravens can fly. Those are some spoilers there.
They're within 5 miles of each other, and they don't know what the others are doing.
Well, they're mad at at each other for some reason. They're brothers or cousins or something. They're cousins, brothers, something. Yeah,
father and son. I think it is.
Fathers. Yeah,
it boggles my mind that I can understand a father not wanting to talk to the son, but when you have a whole bunch of other were-ravens, the son could send 8 other people that can fly to go find out what's going on over there. And instead he hires a rando person he doesn't meet, they've never known before, who has a sword and goes, oh, you go. Like, what? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. That's how they did it. I think I ended up having the guy in the inn. I had him have the third seed, and
Oh, okay, yeah.
so he ended up taking it, and like the son or whoever's running the vineyard there was like suspicious that he took it, and like
So he had
that's why
taken
they
it?
didn't talk, and they were kind of at odds with each other.
A lot of people said in the comments that they put it inside of the heart in Castle Ravenloft. That was like
Okay.
the energy source behind the heart that
Okay.
he was using. That makes sense. And
Yeah.
if they had put that in the book, I would have been like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah. And on that, I forgot to mention earlier, I love that you decided to use the Taroka deck for a bunch of stuff instead of just the one
massively
quick mini
underused
game.
object.
One quick mini game, 10 minutes into
Yeah.
the module, and then you don't need them anymore.
That's crazy. I mean, it would be like if you were running Skyrim and there was one interaction where you chose a star from a constellation and you were like, and we're done. Let's walk away. Like what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What? Why would you waste such a great system? It's crazy.
It's cool stuff. What we're a little past the 3-hour mark. Is there anything else dying questions you guys have about Skyrim or Shadowrim or anything for Greg before we
Greg, are you coming to Rogers Con?
The issue is not money or even logistics, it's family stuff. So I have to sort that out.
Well,
Eric,
I wasn't meaning to
Tinkar's
trap you.
been putting it in my ear. He wants me to come up there as well. I get it. I just have. It's a time of year when I have a lot of family stuff for reasons I don't go into in public. But yeah, like it's just. It'd be like if it was on Thanksgiving, I would have to deal with family stuff on Thanksgiving. Like it's just a time of year that is tough for me. Gen Con is similar kind of problems. I've had people ask me, "Are you going?" I'm like, "I've never been. I'd like to go." It's not a money or logistics thing. It's just I got a busy life. I got stuff.
Well, yeah, sure. I wasn't trying to put you in the corner. I was asking because if you do, how much would I have to pay for you to run Shadowrim and me to sit down at the table and play?
Well,
that was really the end point of that question.
Yeah, I'm going to be at North Texas next year for sure. That does fit into my schedule, and there's a whole bunch of people that are there that are important to me for a variety of reasons. This is going to again sound kind of like I do this all for me kind of thing. When I go to the convention, my goal, I said this right before I went to North Texas, it's almost like I'm a zoologist. Like I want to go there and study the animals and learn what they're doing so that I can come home and figure out, write papers about this is when the big gorilla stands up like this, that means blah, blah, blah. Like I'm going there to like study people. Like I played in a game run by each of the Black Lodge guys. And when I was in it, I was like, what is it that they're doing that is different and unique? When I'm in Greg Gillespie's game, I'm like, how is Greg doing this differently from the way I would do it? I'm like reverse engineering it and studying it. And so for me to go there and then play my own game, which I don't need to learn. I don't need to learn about me. Like I would want to go there and have you run a Shadowrim game so I could learn what you are doing in Shadowrim. Like that would be the thing that I would appeal to me, because like the whole thing with YouTube, the whole thing, like I'm looking for anything that other people are doing that I can learn from.
I'm okay with running games. I'm okay with running games for people, but to run someone's game for the person who made it, that's a little nerve-wracking, I think.
I don't know. Maybe this is I sometimes when people say something to me about public speaking, and I'm like, I've lectured in front of 120 student classes. Like, there's very few things that would intimidate me speaking in front of a big audience. You know, like it's just I think. For me, like if you're afraid, I would be like, just don't be. Like, I'm not judging you. I'm not. I would actually, enjoy seeing it run in a totally different way from what I'm expecting. That would be good data. That would be good thing for me to see.
No, it would be cool. And I mean, if you want to come up to CNY, well, no, I mean, talk. I don't want to, push you or whatever. But if you do want to come up, I mean, I would be more than happy to run a Shadowrim game for you and Jason and Ducato and whoever else.
Yes,
whoever else wants in, to the game. So I don't know if that helps you. I understand you got family stuff. I don't want to push whatever you get.
Like I said, to me, it's like academic work. I'm studying how these things work, because maybe I'll learn nothing for 2 hours, and then there'll be a 5-minute period where Jason does something that I've never seen anyone do before, and I go, that's it. And then I take that and I run with that and I evolve on that. Like, I don't care that I had to go through 2 hours to get that. That doesn't bother me at all. Like, the walking away with that one thing would be awesome. Like that would be it. Like, because it's not like I'm expecting to go in there and it's going to be 100% different from anything I've ever seen before. It's that like 5 minutes where they're doing something really unique. That's where the good stuff is.
That's pretty valuable, because I think in general it's pretty rare for people that are just running games. Like, you typically run a game, a session or an adventure, and then you move on to the next one. But when you take an adventure, and I've done this, I've run it for like my home group, and then I've run the same adventure for game store group, and that's a really kind of unique experience, because you're like, oh, well, my guys in my home group, they didn't do this. Like, you guys went, which is awesome. Like, I love when that happens. But I don't think it's something that game masters get to experience as much. So, like, what you're talking about is, I did that throughout my career. Like, I would go and train with people, and I was a trainer at work, but like half of my thing when I was training was listening, like, how are they doing it? Like, I understand, like, getting the material, but like, how are they presenting the material? How is it coming off? Or, and just different ways of doing it that maybe I hadn't thought of. So that's a unique experience. It's a good too.
I have a pretty good example from Alien. So the starter box adventure for Alien is called Chariot of the Gods. It's very good. I'm not criticizing it. But the way it's written, you're supposed to basically have everybody wake up kind of out of the cryopods, like in the movie, and they have kind of like 10 or 15 minutes to kind of get coffee and wake up and do all of this kind of stuff. And I've run the module like that. I've done that. I run it, I think 3 or 4 times. I can't remember. It bleeds into the other modules too, so it's hard to remember that. But one time I ran it, I said, okay, I'm not going to do that this time. I'm going to have it. Your cryopod is opening, and there is a collision alarm at full blast, klaxon. You're wide awake. The pilot has to get out of his pod and run in his underwear down the hallway in order to get into the seat and stop from colliding with the ship. That's the main part of the module, right? Is that you run into this ship out in the middle of nowhere. And as written, your AI on your ship detects that you're going to run into this and wakes everybody up in plenty of time for you to wake up and slowly adapt to the fact that I was like, what if it's right in your face, like that second? And if you fail that check, if you run in your underwear down into the pilot's chair and then you fail that check, it seriously damages your ship now because you collided with this other ship. And then there's all these consequences. So there's real stakes, There are way more stakes than just getting up and leisurely adjusting your course so you don't run into this other ship. Making little changes like that, that's where I think is the goal. Because if you learn enough of that stuff, we could eventually make it so that all of the modules run better. We can develop practices and ways of writing things and ways of doing things so that it improves all of it. And that would be, so if I went to a con and Stan is running this, and instead of opening up like that, he's like, you're running down the hallway in your underwear trying to prevent your ship from running into this other ship, I would be like, that's the good stuff. I can use that. I can put that somewhere else. And Stan also had a great point that it could be a player, not the GM. I could sit through a game and the GM does everything in a way that is predictable to me. Not like, I'm not being insulting.
Not in a negative way, sure. Yeah.
Like it evolves in an expected way. But one of the players does something just crazy, and I'm like, I can use that in some way. That's what, to me, that's the great thing. That's why I talk to people. That's why I get on YouTube. That's why I do all this stuff. Is I know that stuff is out there. There's nobody that's mining it that I know of. That's trying to find it everywhere as aggressively as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. So are you going to when you come up after watching all of these games and everything, and you're writing the stuff down, are you going to publish this information, or like or is it just going in your notebook?
Well, to me, like this is a word that doesn't get used enough. Praxis. So it's one thing to develop a method. It's another thing to develop a method that reliably works in praxis, in actually being used in that way. So like an example of UPS. So UPS had a thing where they were like, well, I know what we'll do. We'll keep track of how often our driver hooks and unhooks his seatbelt, and then we'll know how much time they spend in the seat versus how much time they spend walking with a package. Well,
okay, yeah.
The drivers aren't stupid, so they realized that that's what would happen. So they would start leaving the seatbelt buckled and get out and do things and then get back in, so that it would look like they were spending more time driving than whatever, right? So it's one thing to develop an idea of how the thing will work. It's another thing to have it actually work in a practical situation. So the things that I'm learning, I'm going to be building in as praxis into the product. So I'm not going to like publish. I'm going to be like, this is the best way to do it. I'm doing it that way. That's why I'm taking everything from Gods of the Forbidden North that I think is the best way to do it, and I'm going to put that into my next product. Like I'm learning from these things, like Skynet, totally benign.
Yeah.
Until it's not.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
It's not.
Until it's not.
But I hope that one day there'll be somebody who's like, look at what Chubby Funster did in this product. I should do it like this. That would be how it gets propagated. Things that I say to you in the live stream. I'm sure that there's somebody out there who's like, oh yeah, that he said that way. So I'm gonna try doing it. I bet there's somebody who tries running that alien module the way that I just said.
Yeah.
It changes things. Yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic. What do you guys got anything else?
I have one thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
I won't have any more. Please do an Al-Qadim for Shadow Dark. Announce the Kickstarter. I will absolutely back it. I would love to see something like that.
Well, let me show you something then. We're at the part where the number of viewers who will see this moment relative to other moments is lower because it's at the end here. And that's just reality, So this is, the game is going to be called Kharazim. So it sounds like Al-Qadim a little bit, you know. It's opening an InDesign file. It takes a little time. But the state that I'm going to show you is basically what it was when I started really doing these YouTube videos. And so now I want it, before I can finish this, I need to figure out all the things that I'm going to change about this in order to publish it. You said I was like, I'm realizing mid-process a whole bunch of things that I want to make changes to. So this is definitely not, come on, InDesign. Here we go. Okay, so this is the spread. I'll share it. I hope this works, because InDesign is lags when you got a big file. This is a big file.
Yeah.
So this is like backgrounds for the setting. The stat, you've seen these pages before. There's ancestry choices. This is a huge empire with all these people. It's like the caliphate type empire.
Yeah.
We've got some art, some I design everything in layout and just build it piece by piece. So there's like a Himalayas type area called Lahij. It's like this. This is Varayo is kind of like Romania, Balkans regions. There's character names. There's classes: a blade, a dervish, enchanter, the Ghazi, mystic, outlaw, and then there's a 9-box alignment system that's different from Shadow Dark, with a religious axis and a aggression axis. So you could be very religious and very aggressive, and you're a fanatical person. You could be very unreligious and very non-aggressive and be timid. Right. So it creates this way. So then when I give you a character, you can tell how they should be role playing based on that alignment. There's languages. I have a whole bunch of equipment, clothing, all this kind of stuff's already built in. You know, so I'm saying it's mostly created this game, right? Traps, even spell catalysts, which are in the player companion, all this stuff. We're on page 95. This spread goes all the way down to 301.
Oh,
Nice.
wow.
So the end part of the book is this is a player book, and it's like a gazetteer. So the players will know where everything is. So these are kind of the places that I haven't developed that much in the gazetteer. And then there's places it's inconsistent because it's being built in layout. You know, there's places that are filled in the gazetteer, right? So it's all, and then there's a whole other GM book with all the monsters and all the kind of GM level rules, tables for doing encounters and stuff like that you wouldn't put in the player book. But it's just it's a big lift to make 200-300-page books.
Yeah.
You know, so
Man. Well, I applaud your effort, dude.
Wow.
That's amazing.
So that's where we are. So like I said, like I have that analysis paralysis. There's all these things about this thing that I want it to work a particular way, but it's not finalized in my brain. So I have
Well, you already got like 4 copies sold, so
I have to keep making videos until I know what I want. And then
Works for me, man.
Then it'll work. You know, that'll be it. I gotta read half of the Al-Qadim modules and make videos about what I like and dislike about them, and I gotta do this until it's all right in my head.
how many more projects like that you got that are 75% done?
I have a folder that you wouldn't believe. My curse is that I write really fast, but I can only write if it's passionate. Like I want to do it. So what happens is I'll have a book. I'm like, I have this great idea for a Western game. I had a Western game called Laredo that is probably 70-75% there. And the idea is it's like DCC, but you're running like a gold rush as the gauntlet. So you have 4 guys that are headed out west, and a bunch of them are going to die Oregon Trail style until you get down to your level 1 characters that end up in Silver City.
Nice.
Or whatever. And then that's how you start your Western. So I built out tons and tons and tons of stuff from that. And then I just lost passion for the project and then stopped. Now, if I go back to that Red Dead Redemption idea, I'll be able to just open up those InDesign files and just pull all that juicy stuff out because it's already been written. But I just can't, I don't have the motivation to finish that game.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. I've got dozens of, I've got like a game that's like Waterworld. I've got a game that it has all these different things. It just 25% done, 40% done. You know, it's hard. Because in order to get to the end of those books, like all of the parts have to work together in your head.
Sure.
And if you get to the end, you're like, I just don't like how this works. Then you just can't fit. You can't fit. Sometimes it's like you see memes online where like 2 people built the wall from different, and the wall doesn't line up, so that it's like, well, shit, like that happens in your own. Like you can do that to yourself.
Yeah.
Oh
wow, there you go.
Mike actually played in my Saturday night game for the first time this weekend. So thank you, Mike. You have any general advice for adapting a game setting to another setting like you've been doing in Shadow? First, you have to understand that everything is basically a skin, to use a MMO term. So if you took Grand Theft Auto 5 and you took all of the visual assets out of the game and you replaced them with Star Wars visual assets, it would still mostly work, right? Like it would be very close. So when you see something in a game that you like, realize that you can take the skin off, adapt whatever the thing is to something else, and then adjust the skin to even if it's Skyrim to Shadowrim, pretty close. You still have to adjust that skin. It's still like it can't work the exact same way as a video game. But look at what it is about the game that you love, the system that you love, whatever it is, and find out the essence underneath the skin of whatever it is. So like, I love the idea of finding ingredients and having to experiment to make potions. It feels as close to like real alchemy as I've seen. There's a game called Kingdom Come Deliverance that has a fantastic lock picking mechanic where it really feels like you're trying to pick this lock, like you're trying to like balance things and twist them at the same time. It's really good. Now, obviously, I couldn't port that over directly to D&D, but there's probably something that you could find to extract out of that. Like so take whatever it is and remove the aesthetics of it and see if it still works. So like in the Strahd video, I know Mike watched all those because he commented on all of them. I talked about running Strahd with a iterative dinner every Sunday in the game. So every Sunday night in Ravenloft, he invites the players to come have dinner with him, and then they have a chance after dinner to kind of explore the castle before they leave, right? But they can choose. They can have nights where they come in and they don't do anything because they don't want to cause any trouble, and then they have other nights where they do. You could take that same process and rip it out of Ravenloft, and you could create some kind of dinner with the Caliph in Al-Qadim or the Sultan or whatever, depending on what part of Al-Qadim you're in. And every Sunday night, the Sultan invites you to come in and you talk with him, whatever. And he could be a terrible Sultan that you're like just trying to get in the good graces of. and over months you develop your plan to depose him as the Sultan, and it would work in Al-Qadim just as good as it would work in Strahd. You see what I'm saying? Those are the kind of things you have to find the underlying element that you like and pull it out of whatever it is. Yeah, I thank you, Agile Monk. I'll reach out and talk to you. We've talked on YouTube for a long time, so it's no problem. I will send you an email.
Yeah. Yeah, I think sometimes people can't see the like what you're saying with the skins and stuff. Like a lot of the stuff is pretty easily translatable to another to another system, to another setting, just different genres and stuff. You just got to be willing to kind of make that kind of that visual. You got to do it in your head. You got to be able to see that flip.
And that's one of the reasons why I recommend people play other games, even if you think you're not going to like the game. So like I'm sure there's a ton of people who are like, I've never played Vampire, and I know that I'm not going to like Vampire, and so I'm never going to play Vampire. But there could be one element of the storyteller system, maybe a subsystem that most people don't even think about as being part of storyteller. For instance, there is a backgrounds system in the original Vampire the Masquerade, not the red one, I forget what it's called. But in the original Vampire the Masquerade, where you have like the way that they track resources and allies and contacts and stuff like that. Some of those ideas are also in Traveler. You can see the connection between how they work, whatever. But you might be playing Vampire and see that and go, oh, that way of representing resources, I could take that and put it in my Dark Sun game. Like you never know, especially for games that are being played by thousands and thousands of people. I'm not saying check out everybody's Heartbreaker on Drive-Thru RPG, but like big substantial games, there has, if you play Vampire the Masquerade and you can't learn anything, then I question your sentience. Sure. There's got to be something in there that you go, oh, I could use that somewhere else. That's what you got to do. Like you got to play. When I went to North Texas, like I was just saying, I played in 7 totally different systems. I didn't play 7 Shadowdark games because I like Shadowdark, right? Like
sure.
I played in Vampire and Traveler, and Shucked Oyster was the Shadowdark game, and I played in Greg Gillespie's Dragon Slayer. Like all these different things so that you can learn. Otherwise, how are you gonna? If you play AD&D every day until you die, you're going to know less than somebody who plays a lot of AD&D, but they play Vampire and they play Traveler and they do other things, because you just by getting out of that ecosystem, you learn a lot more. I love Alien. I dislike Walking Dead. It's almost the same thing, but by playing them both, I can see the thing that I don't like about Walking Dead is now very clear, because Alien is almost the same thing, but it doesn't have this part, and that's the part that I like. So, okay, that's the thing I need to save, and I don't want to accidentally delete it. That's how you find new things.
Yeah, absolutely. What else we got for Greg? We're way over here. We're past his time, I think. I don't know. New record, yeah.
Yeah. New record.
What do you got, Ducato? Anything?
I'm long-winded.
No, I'm good. This has been great.
We're good,
Very
Jason.
Informative.
I'm good, man.
Sure, you guys good? Greg, you got any final words, thoughts?
I'm hoping to keep dropping the Forbidden North videos over the holiday break.
Yeah.
There's so much to just making one of these videos, because it's such a rich setting. Like you get to the end and you're like, oh man, like I've actually learned a lot doing this video. Like I'm like, oh man, there's things that I didn't even appreciate the first time. stuff like that. So as you go through, like I think you guys will see how great why I think it is. And so when that Kharazim game comes to market, there will be elements that I've found by doing this analysis that are going to be in there. I agree with Vamirez that shadow is overplayed as a word now. We got to move on.
Yeah.
Shadow and dark, man. With all these settings that are like Shadow Sun, Shadow Rim, but then also like, what are the Space Dark? What is there's a Cyber Dark.
Oh yeah,
there's
Cyber
all
Dark,
these
Dark Light.
Yeah.
Dark Star.
Dark Star.
Light,
Yeah, it's just, oh man, there's so much. Let's come up with new names. It's
Well, as soon as a game comes out that has a catchy name that people can make things for, that'll be the next
Light Bright. Yeah.
thing. Yeah, Light Bright. Yeah. So, well, thanks everybody for coming on. Yeah, thanks Greg.
Thanks
thanks, Greg.
Thanks for being here and chatting with us. And
I'm amazed that we're at a higher number watching right now than like for a lot of the thing. It is tailed up at the end. That's great.
You started talking about remaking Al Qadim, and everybody came back for that. People were telling their friends, like, "Oh, he's doing it. Let's go back and check it out." But no, thanks everybody for coming. Again, like, share, subscribe to all of our channels. Jason doesn't have a channel yet, but someday soon.
There's one coming.
What were we say? What was it?
Well, yeah, what was
Castles and
the
Carpentry or what?
Castles and Carpentry or something like that?
Castles and Carpentry.
Well, with that saber on the wall behind you, it gotta be cavalry and something. I mean,
Cavalry and Carpentry.
Yeah, I was in second Cav. No, I'm retired. There will be no Army stuff in any video that I ever do that I'm not going to do. So just forget about it.
So, well, thanks everybody for coming. I'm not sure what we're gonna do. We're gonna do next week yet, but we'll get a post out about that soon. Thanks everybody for coming, Greg. Thanks again.
Seeker's Hollow is in the he's also running one of those Terra Invictus solo plays. When I mentioned him earlier. Sorry to interrupt you there, Rod.
No. You're good. You're good. I was looking to see if he said anything. Oh, there is Seeker's Hollow. Yeah. That's his YouTube channel, Seeker's Hollow.
Yeah. He's doing true solo play, so like one character, maybe
nice.
one sidekick that carries his torch or something, like hardcore mode.
I'm gonna have to check that out. Definitely check that out. So we'll see some of you guys next week, and we'll see you guys on the other side. Take care, everybody.
See y'all.